Hey, whoa, my hair. Okay, welcome back to Metropolitan Grid. How's everyone doing? It is May 28th, glancing down casually. Hopefully doing well. It's a Thursday night here. It is, oh my God, is it warm. The last couple of days with humidity, it's been like 38, 37. It's meant to storm tomorrow and then go down cold, but like these last days have been absolutely the worst heat I've felt in a long time. Now that means the fan and the air conditioning unit are now in, so maybe the quality of the audio is a lot worse. It's better than passing out. Good luck to everyone. Oh, yo, Hollis, what's up, dude? Doing well. Hope you're doing great. I am. I'm doing all right. All things considered. Thanks for asking. Good to see you, dude. Jason, what's up? Holy hell, it's Thursday. Thank God I needed some Metropolitan Grid. Just in time. Just in time. Glad you're finding this content so well. Yo, what a Ubi. Really wanted to make the Jinteki on Tuesday, but things got crazy here. Hope it was fun. It was, yeah, it was fun. We're actually going to be talking about that a fair bit today because I think we're going to be reviewing the footage. Jessica, what's up? How's it going? Hope you're doing good. Parallel as well. Hey, friends. So glad I live on the West Coast. That sounds awful. It was snowing here like 2.5 weeks ago, and now it's like 38. Like the soap in the bathroom is melting. Basil, what's up? How you doing? Yo, Gullet as well. How's it going? It's so hot in the UK as well. I had to stand in the sun for 45 minutes while I got a new battery fit on my card. Holy shit. Yellow watching while making tikka masala for dinner. Yo, Chris, what's up? Enjoy it. We ordered in Indian food today as well. I forget exactly what I had, but it was okra based. I'm not sure if I knew what okra... I knew what okra was. I used to work as a cashier in high school in a grocery store, so I had to know all the codes and stuff. Just don't think I've had okra before. It was pretty salty. And I don't think that's an okra thing. Glad to hear we all have the same crazy weather. Yo, David, yeah, it's rough. It's so rough. May 12th, I think it was. We got snow in Ottawa. Now it's like the air is baking you crazy. It's wild. So it's meant to storm really bad tomorrow, and then it's meant to get a bit colder, which is like kind of needed for everybody. But like, yeah, there's an alleyway behind my apartment, which is really nice because it's what they call, oh shit, I forget the name for it. I think Ruet Vert, something like that, but it's basically like a space that is, you can't put garbage out there. It's meant to be a green space, so people are back there. There's kids playing, there's a lot of gardens and stuff, so it's really nice. People are hanging out there throwing water on each other, but yeah, it could be worse. I'm over here now. Hicho, haha, how's it going? Welcome. I put okra in jambalaya. Nice. Air conditioning in my apartment was broken for several days. Oh my God. Been pretty miserable. Hot here as well. Just ordered Indian too. What a coincidence. Yo, I hope yours is good too. We get, man, samosas. You get like 2 samosas for $3. You get a bunch of them. You got samosas for days. I'm having better noodles for dinner and wanted to get a pizza, but everything shut down in Twin Cities because of rioting. Oh yeah, I saw some of that footage. Minneapolis is kind of on fire. I hope that's all going okay. Seems really shitty. All right, so today we got a couple things to do. Firstly, decklist of the week has our name in it. Shout out to Chuchin. I think we talked about this last week or on Sunday. I think on Sunday. Basically, Chuchin played this in the overall 4. This is in the Antwerp Store Championship, which had about 33 players. Yeah, 33 players. You can watch this whole thing. It was all cast for like 11 hours that day. It was a lot of Netrunner. Check that out on Vesper DBS. I think it's Vesper_DBS on Twitch. It's all archived. Vesper DBS. Go check that stuff out. Now, the thing about the tournament was, out of the top 8, they cut the top 8. I think 5 of the 8 were Asmari, and it's kind of spoils the tournament to some extent, but Asmari never lost on camera, and everyone was tired as shit of watching Asmari through that whole tournament. The commentators just kept shit talking Asmari, which is a bit brutal. Asmari is one of the best decks right now, if not mathematically the most winningest deck in standard format. So like, not surprised you're seeing it. It's pretty brutal. 5-3 agendas, defensive 5-3 agendas, only 6 of them. The runner has to steal half the agendas in the deck if they don't have tricks, and on top of that, it compounds with a card that's absurdly powerful right now, Scarcity of Resources, which that deck can easily play, and it's going to stick around for a while because they don't have a lot of agendas to lose, and it's an issue when they say you can't play resources and they get 2 credits when you play events. It's just kind of nuts. Fortunately, the thing is, most of those games all unravel the same way, and it kind of unravels a bit slowly, so you got to watch a lot of that. But luckily, Chuchin showed up playing a Spicy Asa deck. And this other deck is a bit buck wild. Let me open this up in Chrome. It was really fun to watch, and they did pretty well. Like, they made the top cut, ended up in 4th overall amongst some really powerful stuff. And this is an Asa Group deck, and this is an idea that they said that they took off one of our streams a while ago when we were goofing around with the idea of Brainstorm, or basically at the time I think we were also playing Komainu. Any ice that gains extra subroutines and holds them for the rest of the list. I just saw most wanted list for the rest of the run, and then the idea is to compound that with ganked. And the idea with ganked is now the second time you hit the Brainstorm, if you did break it, maybe now it has 10 subroutines, and that goes on and on and on top of a Helheim servers, which can just dump your hand when those 10 subroutines are lethal, and you can just win. And it's crazy. This deck looks a bit nutty. It has some other cool tricks in it, like advanced assembly lines, which is pretty good with Tranquility Home Grid. Asa Group also makes those compounded installs a bit more efficient. On top of this, the cool little spice that Chuchin put into the deck is Daruma, which is really fun and works like some sort of pseudo border control, where even if they get through the remote, at least they don't steal the agenda. And on top of that, there is a snare, which is a cool way to capitalize on them having no hand size. Because that's one of the issues, is when they have 0 hand size, your Brainstorms become, well, the blank, and they don't do anything. So it's cool to have another win condition, especially something that works so well with Daruma. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a bit nutty. Let me catch out on that chat. So weekend has several tournaments happening. I don't know them to shout them out specifically, but it's yet to be a busy weekend. Oh shit, I had no idea. What's going on this weekend, Jessica? Excellent. I love having a bunch of tournaments to have on the weekend. Yo, Chinchling, what's up? Have you looked at Sanjay's Ocarina format? He's running a tournament with it this weekend. I saw that's the one where you play. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, that's the one where you play a resource, right? And you're the resource or the agenda. Correct me if I'm wrong. We can talk about that in a second because it's interesting. Cowbird, I'm sad not to see NBN decks with Beals and remastered because that agenda suite feels a lot more delightful. And for what it's worth, I think Fast Advance is, in theory, pretty good right now. And a big part of that is that Shaper is not very well represented or particularly compelling to play in a lot of ways right now. So there's not a lot of clot, which means Fast Advancing is pretty good. So I could see that agenda suite being all right. But like at the end of the day, the sort of issue is like, do you want to win the tournament or do you want to do creative expression and win hopefully at the same time? And I think if you're just trying to win, I would play as Mari 9 out of 10 times. I don't even know what a bad matchup for that deck is. And it has so many good matchups. Basically any Shaper, they don't have a current, you can win. You can turn off 419. I don't know, it's wild. Yo, Caught, what up? Ocarina 1 is going to be great and so wild. Are they streaming that one too? This Asa deck is such a work of art. This is wild, and I'm glad, like, if you read the write-up, oh, this is actually worth saying. Hey, Andre, hey, Maverick. A lot of people say my name in different ways. I think it makes sense to assume it's like this because I live in, French Canada. It's actually EJ. The way that like Slavic people do it. That comes up a fair bit. I don't know. I don't care how you spell my name, but apparently I do. Only 2 brainstorms, no longer jank. Yeah, they actually also talked about that, how they wanted to make this a bit more consistent, if that's the word. Good thing we have a pop filter. So they took out the things like the Komainus and they built more of a Glacier deck, and it makes a lot of sense. Even though you saw cool combos where like Gatekeeper works really well with Helheim servers, and making a big Gatekeeper lets you recycle things that you throw away anyways. Like there's some cool stuff going on here. I was worried about the money in this deck, and you saw it was kind of a grind. I think one of the games in the top cut goes to time, and they still win, but like I could see that happening where this could be a pretty slow deck. Only have 7 agendas though, and one of them is timely public release, which is pretty nonsense. I don't know why this is in here. I don't know why it's in there. ID is a resource agenda. Right. You're a connection. Korean is an interesting format. I expect ridiculous hijink. Apathy, what's up? I think they're good, but the quarantine is losing its novelty appeal. Yo, I don't think you're the only to think that. Chris says, I thought Clot was an Anarch card. Do Shapers just play it a lot? Yeah, actually, Shapers almost played exclusively. It's been, I don't know when the last time I could say that I've seen an Anarch playing Clot. So for those who don't know, Clot is the only card in the game, besides whatever the freedom death card thing, that lets you, what is this ad? That lets you, stop Fast Advance. And the thing is, while this is an Anarch card, it is low influence, but the problem with Claude is that it's only good if you can threaten to pull it out at the time that it's useful. If you put this on the table, basically if the corp thinks they're going to Fast Advance, all you have to do is spend a turn purging. And that's not a bad effect. Like, that's still pretty good, but in terms of a card slot in a deck, that's just not that compelling. And why Anarch does have ways to make this scary and make this always show up, like things like, I don't know, Street Peddler, I guess, and Gachapon, I guess, but you kind of, it's up in the air whether that's going to work. I think the best thing you can do is basically splash Shaper cards, and then once you get to that point, one of the best things you can do is just splash Clot in an Anarch in a Shaper deck whatsoever. So the idea is that if you have self-modifying code, right, you can just pull it out. As long as you have a self-modifying code on the table, you're always threatening, oh, you try to fast advance, I can stop you. As soon as you have a simul chip, same idea. It's just like not very good in Anarch because they can't pull it when they need it unless they're playing other Shaper cards, and not a lot of Anarch cards decks do that. TPR could let you overwrite an advanced agenda with Snare via ASA, right? Yo, Jim, what's up? TPR? Timely Public? I thought this is just only Ice. Yeah, it's only Ice, so not really. It's hard to surprise someone with Claude and Anarch. You need to get lucky with Street Peddler or something. Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like, you could do Gachapon, Street Peddler. In theory, some lists ran Simulchip. I think I've most consistently seen it, if at all, in Anarch, if it was played in either a heavy virus deck, like old noise decks that ran Clone Chip, but more likely, like, I've seen it in some Max decks, just because they're very good at consistently getting it into their heap, and then they would play Simulchip anyways. But even that's, like, kind of meta dependent. I think I've only saw that at the same time like Tapworm was a thing, just because that was annoying. I always used to play Claude of Certain Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff knockoff comics are to be believed. Yeah, that's exactly it. TPR can do that. Install the ice with TPR. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, so timely public release is kind of like a pseudo shitty border control that throws your agenda into the archives, because you can install an ice and then use the ASA trigger. So TPR, timely public release, seems cool in ASA because the ASA ability can fire. So interesting, but I don't know. I feel like 4-2s are good and better than this one. I feel like this isn't that impactful, but I'm happy and I'm excited to be wrong. Shout out to Chuchin. Shout out for writing up a big fucking, this is a huge deal. When people publish their cool shit and then they take the time to write all this other cool shit attached to it, like this takes a lot of time. Shout out for doing that. That's super cool. Let alone obviously it plugs the channel, but regardless. Okay, two things before we go into this. Firstly, I'm gonna try and swear as little as possible because I think that's been an issue on YouTube. So if I swear, chat, please admonish me, and we'll try and sort that out. Secondly, remind me if you can kindly about the I'm gonna say Ocarina, but that can't possibly be correct. What is it? It is Ocarina. Wild. About that format, because we'll talk about it after, because it is really cool and I want to see what people do. I do remind if you can. I should look at the deck list a bit better. F it, curse more. Nah, it's bad because then I have to fight YouTube and be like, hey, I've done it again, and then it's not good. What do they call a funny spicy asa? Wordsmith. Beans alert. Yeah, exactly. We're on Beans alert. Hey man, love it when deck builders help me learn about their decks. It's a big deal for people getting to the game, for us who we don't read it usually before we play it and then we think the deck is bad. Like there's a lot of good reasons why you'd want to write up a list up. It's Super Arena, fun. Ocarina, I mean, Rob, you played it before? How's it going, by the way? How you doing? We are a corp. Yeah, math checks out. All right, so money, we have a DRM, hedge fund, IPO, that's our money. We have advanced NGO Rashida, good stuff. Tranquility, home grid, eats its own ability the turn it's installed, is a bit of a bummer. Ice is fairly pretty good. We have a big one, but this could easily be lethal with gank, and then I don't think we really care about our agendas as much as they are agendas. Vacheron's cool, but Vacheron's just good, and it's not like punitive or anything. Cool. The class act seems OP in the format. Yo, Cody, what's up? Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about it. I think that there's, like, I'm interested to see what people play because I think there's clearly correct answers in the format. Like, you should always play class act and criminal. Always. Because once you play class act, the chance of you drawing into other connections is so high. And it's such a bonkers ability. You're basically Andy without Link, right? It seems so good. Oh yeah, right, it's limited influence. That's a big point. It's like how ARES is available, but you can only have 7 influence, because otherwise that would be like better CTM. I still think with 12 influence, man, actually, okay, wait, that makes it way more interesting. I forgot about that wrinkle. Because like, do you want to just be Hernando? I don't think so. Like installing Hernando is... Wait, what do you mean you have Link? You have Link? Jumon should be illegal and the best corp? Wait, Jumon is... Oh yeah, you can play Jumon. I thought it was only 1 scored abilities. You're right, Jumon is a 1 scored ability. Okay, let's talk about this after this game. We need to talk about that. That seems really fun. Hernando's also 12 influence? They saw us coming from a mile away. Anarch has some really bad ones, right? Like, you don't want to be human first. Shapers, like, what do you want to be, artist? You'd be Beth, but like, that's not amazing. Thanks, you too. All right, let's play against Lila. Ooh, it's Az. All right, so Az actually has some really hot tech in this matchup. One of the few counters to our brainstorm combo is flip switch, because flip switch just says, F it, I'm not dying. So Az is actually pretty well positioned. Our opening hand has a minor amount of money. Early Ichi is not particularly good. This is definitely a keepable hand, but because we can, I'm gonna mulligan, and we're gonna try and high roll this one a little bit. But like, this is easily a hand you could be like, yeah, good enough. I think that's arguably a lot better. Jumon is banned? Oh, Jumon is banned. Okay, no, that makes a lot of sense. Good, good. Artist seems good. Artist seems all right. We did variant with our local meta and it was using Page Piper for deck clearing. Oh man. Yo, Floofy, what's up? Yeah, it is a gank deck, and it's come around. It's come from us to somebody else, and they optimized it and they sent it back. So you don't have to do any of the legwork. Good shit. All right, Criminal. We don't want to get siphoned. Diversion of funds. So we're gonna ice up HQ. We definitely want to hedge fund. No real reason not to there. We could plan our turn, but the problem is like we probably just install an ice and click for a credit. I don't love Gatekeeper on HQ. While it is 6 strength, eventually it's 0 strength, and then it's really weak to Amakua. Hagen has a good face check as long as they install like a Rizeki or an Amakua or something like that. So I think we can put that on HQ. Unfortunately here though, we don't have our fire off of our ability unless we put ganked on HQ itself, which isn't particularly good with Hagen. So I think we're just going to draw one, so next turn we're more set up for our ability, and then we'll just put this on HQ and not Asa this turn. Our Asa ability, mind you, says the first time you install a card, you may install additional non-agenda in or protecting that same server, which is really good. We've been playing with this a fair bit over the last couple weeks. As coming down, gets a job or connection for 1 credit fewer, so that's a free armitage. Sec testing comes down, gives us a good reason to ice up everything. That'll shut it under economy. And our pad tab right now is not too bad whatsoever. So our big question right now is whether we ice up archives or whether we go horizontal and set up our scoring remote. And the fact that they have both armitage and sec testing, they have no other support for the sec testing, it doesn't really make me want to ice up everything. I think we can just kind of set up for our Tranquility home remote survey. Yeah. So we'll do that in a new remote and install this. From here, we probably do need to trash the pad tap because we're going to fire it off next turn with Tranquility, ideally. And we have a lot of money. We could, in theory, put Hagen on R&D. If they hit an SSL here, we're fine. If they hit Vacheron, it's okay. And we could consider even jamming next turn, but I'm pretty sure they'll be able to boomerang this Gatekeeper. So we're going to want a Hagen in front of it. So next turn, we basically install the Hagen and the Helheim getting money. So we can just click for a credit here. Again, if they didn't have an Armitage, I'd be more likely to ice up both centrals, or try to, or if they had an Amaku or a Data Sucker or something. You swore, you said good, whatever. Hey, that's a good reason actually to do it, because now it's a 3 credit plus Scry, so now this is better than the Armitage. They also have no cards in hand, so jamming, the chance of them having Boomerang is a bit lower. Does anybody when they play JNAP pay attention to the sentence? Because I don't. I never remember that. I think I made Jumon like a 90-0, it would have been okay. I don't think there's a number on it I can put on government takeover that would make it okay. Yeah. All right, they saw our Dharma. That kind of narrows down the deck, huh? So Res Tranquility, I think we want to put the ganked is like not amazing. The Helheim is probably a bit better. So put Helheim, and I think we want the money. So this is only going to get us 1 credit because we paid 1 for the install. I guess we draw here. Oh, we didn't plan our turn out. We look really stupid. We can put that on R&D. Nah, it worked out fine. I don't think we want a Thimble Rig on the remote, but we should have planned our turn. You don't want to draw last click. All right, Archives, 3 credits and a Scry. It's good stuff. And we just want to get another ice there. There's an Oracle May. Oh, interesting. That probably means Q Prognostic, which means they really want to run once a turn. So getting ice on Archives is pretty important. Oh, they use hardware. Oh, they're just going to name hardware over and over again. So they have a prognostic Q loop. They gain 2 credits on Druid. So now we actually have to pay attention to the chat log because they're showing us everything they're drawing. All right, we can install the NGO front in server 1 and draw 2 cards. I think that's good. Oh, we could install a ganked. Excuse me, I'm going to undo this click. Oh, it's 1 card. Yeah, we draw 1 card. Just we want something for Archives. We didn't find it. But that's okay, because we can do double advance. With only 3 cards in hand, we know one of them are prognostic. We actually could have considered jamming. The issue is more that we don't have enough money. And we can't really play it up against falsified credentials, which is less likely for them to play considering their oracling. Like, they might have very few events because they can guess an upgrade here pretty easily. They know from Paragon even without Q-Loop. Oh, that's true. Yeah, that is true. But they get it with Q-Loop anyways. Man, this card's good. This combo seems good. I feel like this combo was playable even out of Criminal. I guess Az is the best for this combo. I like that combo a lot. Alright, they drew Deuces Wild. They have a Deuces Wild. Ooh, they have so much money, but nothing to do with it. Wait until we see the Mina, right? Snare. Alright. Okay, so the big question here is whether we push out an agenda with digital rights management. We know nothing about their hand, I don't think. They have 21 credits. They need to get through 2 types of ice. So Boomerang itself won't do it. I think we actually just push out the agenda here. SSL is definitely the better one. We'll put in server 1. We can put something else with it. I guess Dharma's fine. It makes us so scary that people just don't want to run it. Here we can gain 2 credits or a card. We need 3, 4, and then we need 8 because of siphon pressure. So I think we're just going to gain 2 and we're going to do advance. Helheim's not amazing now that we installed more cards in the server, so we can increase it by 4 strength. And we trash out either of these cards. We're not that big of a deal. There's a Boomerang, so it's probably Boomerang Diversion, which is fine. That's totally fine here. They only have 1 click left. They can't contest this remote. Like, this is okay. And I don't think, like, I think anytime we draw an agenda, we just straight jam it, let alone we have a snare. So this is, I don't think we're going to let them get value out of this Boomerang. So that's what we're playing around. This card you definitely have to play around. I think any ice that has more than 2 subroutines is super good in this meta. We'll talk about that later today as well. Like, that wasn't that good. Like, us losing the money doesn't matter when there's an SSL in here, and them gaining the money going from like 22 to 27 isn't that reasonable. They just drew a tech trader. Alright, so that seems more like a slow dirtily thing. Unfortunately, we're not getting our Ossifier. It's kind of an issue with 5-3s that we've always seen. I want Hive back to laugh in the face of Boomerang Diversion. You just play Spiderweb. Just play Spiderweb. It's good enough. What other ice are there? I think it's just Spiderweb, right? Misfingo's good. Oh, another Diversion? We can just res our shit. But then they trash your remote. Yeah, that's awkward now. I guess we're gonna get this trashed. We could raise Hagen. If they access here, they just trash whatever they hit. I think it's better that we lose the money. No, there's no reason. Here, now they have a choice between taking a credit or not. If they take a credit, that's so, I think, they made us lose a credit? What? All right, so now they can just trash the whole server. That's fine. It's not great. Trash to armor to swap? No, thank you. It's still kind of expensive, right? 3, 4, 2. Unfortunately, the gank does nothing, but they have to trash it for 3. Spiderweb feels like a chuckle, but Hive would be a full-on guffaw. Yeah, but then how do you win? All right, so now they're using their money pretty well. Yeah, they do have a lot of money, but Tranquility's 5. Oh, it's 4. Okay. Like, that was still a lot. We halved their money. Cool. SSL, thank you. Fairchild 3. All right, they can click through that. Not particularly compelling. Here, what can we do? They have 1 more diversion. I don't think they drew, did they? I gotta pay way more attention. Oh, they oracled for diversion. Okay, so they did. We can install Advance NGO front. We can use Assembly Lines to install Advance NGO front. Not amazing. Excuse me. We want to get this Thimble Rig rezzed so that, like, this alone is taxing enough until they get Amakua down. I don't know what the play here is. I think we just, I don't know if we install the Assembly Lines. Nah. I think we definitely could have. I just don't see what the benefit is. Here we res it. We're on 1 credit. I don't know what we play around here. This technically plays around Falsified, but I don't think they're on it until they show an Amakua. I guess actually you don't need an Amakua. It's just a good criminal card. Amaku's sec testing also isn't that elegant. We'll see. 1 sec, be right back. Okay. All right. So we're still pretty far away from setting up our brainstorm server. I don't know how many preemptives we have. We have no preemptives. So that actually is a dead Ganked and a dead Helheim and a Tranquility. So those are not coming back. It's weird for this deck that seems like it scales well into the late game to not have preemptives, but slots are pretty difficult. I think right now we just want to res a piece of ice on the remote so we have a threat and then hopefully get a Rashida through. What is this deck? Yo, Alex, how's it going? This is the deck list of the week, which is kind of based on an idea we were trying, or an interaction we were trying on this channel a while ago, which was Brainstorm plus Ganked, which seems really fun. And it did pretty well in a tournament recently, and this is a bit more of a Glacier version with a lot of things to install into a remote server. So we're gonna hold on for a second. They said be right back. So I don't think we know anything about their hand. It looks like they probably don't have breakers. I don't know what breakers they are playing. Like, you assume it's just Amaku and like the good stuff, right? Bagalter, Amina maybe. Amina's really good. You inspired the deck, I think? Yeah, it seems like we did. Which is cool, because it's a fun interaction. This is the spicy acid from last time? Yeah, it is. Ooh, Tech Trader, that's a restricted card. So what does that fire off of? Wait, we knew that. I thought it was Tech Writer that they drew. Oh, shit on us. There's the scary stuff. So Amina breaks most everything in our deck for 4, unless we can boost it up to 7 strength. And Bagalter's like, okay. And Tech Trader's a restricted card, and they're running with no cards in hand. We have a Vacheron, so they can't deal with the Hagen. They could boomerang the Hagen, but they don't have any cards in hand, but they know it's on top of their deck, so they can Oracle May it. We probably don't get diversioned. We cannot use advanced assembly lines to install a Vacheron, so we might have actually wanted to do the play that we were thinking of, where we assembly lines the, what's it called? I'm just gonna jam this. This is a pretty bad res, right? We res it for 6, they break it for 4, and we lose 1. You also can trash cards if they want to not spend, but this is 2 for 3 subroutines, like it's perfect. Is Aminant too good a decoder for Crims? 7 is like a really big drawback if you like play aggressively, and we haven't really been, but it's an incredibly good decoder. This actually might be the best decoder in the game. I feel like if I'm splashing influence on a card, I probably would, on a decoder modally, it'd probably be Amina. Mockler seems a bit expensive. No, Mockler's not really great. I'd play Crota over Mockler if I had the influence. If I didn't have the influence, I think I'd play Mockler over, oh, actually maybe not. Okay, now they're gonna run it. That's just fine. We'll just res the Hagen. It just ends the run. They don't need to flip switch it. Sorry, I think so. Mockler gets much better if you run things like Bad Publicity, if you run Data Sucker, anything that changes how the cost for you to break things like Ice Carver. All right, so now we're down on 6 credits. It's still enough if they run HQ to hit snare and die. Yo, Terrence, what up? How you doing, dude? Mockler's primary upside is that it's blue. Yeah, Crew, that's right. The best thing about it is that you don't pay influence on it, and it's not the worst. Okay, they have a 1 in 4 chance to die here. Wait. Why did they use flip switch? Just for a credit? Okay, 1 in 4 we win. No one plays around Snare and HB. Shit! They missed. Probably the best Fractor Crims have in a while. Well, the thing is, like, the other one, does it still exist? The one that lets you panic, Damara? Damara's like pretty good. Like, Damara's panic button is like surprisingly relevant, especially against like if you're getting rushed against Wayland stuff. I'm doing pretty good though. My whole life has kind of disappeared down that Monster Train hole. Holy shit, me too. We need to talk about Monster Train. It's so important that we talk about Monster Train, chat. There's so many things we have to remember after this this talk we're having. All right, they do Juices Wild. They installed another Tech Trader, and we're on game point. So a Biotic here is a few credits too few. I think we can. Ooh, we have a restore actually. Oh, yeah. So here we're gonna restore for an upgrade and jam Rashida on it. The thing is, like, they're gonna end up boomeranging the Hagen. Helheim HQ? I don't think we need to. Like, Helheim doesn't do anything on HQ because they're boomeranging the Hagen. Holy ass, another cuss? Yeah. Shit's okay. Sacred lines up badly against very common barriers. Well, not Sacred, Damara. Damara's cool. I've been doing completely unnecessary Monster Train streaming to no one. It's still fun. Oh shit, it's still fun though. Man, Monster Train is good. It saved me at least twice against Kakugo. Oh yeah, the D-Res is good against Kakugo. That's very true. Even against border control, the D-Res has like some pocket ability. Oh, it's a third diversion. That's fine. Like, they're diverting us. It's not gonna stop them for, like, they still need a Hagen answer. If we get another Hagen here, which I think the deck only runs 2. Yeah, so I don't know how we're gonna win on the remote. Do we know what their last card is? Okay. So this is one of the, ooh. This is one of the times where it's so unlikely for them not to hit, like, what do we do here? If we do advance. Yeah, I think we just do advance and hope they don't have it. If they steal this, it's fine. They can't divert us again. I don't know the admonish rules. Hellheim, it makes them hit snare. You can use it before access. Oh yeah, that's really true. That is very true. We could have fed them the snare from Hellheim. The thing is, like, Hellheim on the remote teams, it's not amazing actually, right? Hellheim on the remote's not amazing against Boomerang. That's a really good play. I didn't see that coming. If we Hellheim HQ. I think Makler is better than Damara since 2 strength and you get a cred back on the first break. Damara's D-Res is cool. I don't know. They're like all comparable. I don't think one of them screams better than the other. It's not like nanotech and everything else. Oh, there's the Makler. All right, well, this remote's falling apart. And I think we now have to set up a brainstorm, or we just jam snare in the remote, but I like snare in HQ. Okay, we can't really Helheim our hand, because then we Helheim our win condition. Let alone, it's not gonna do much at 25 credits. So if we res this, we go down to 0, which is not great because then we're further away from the IPO. And if they steal this, next turn we can IPO. So I'm not gonna res this. If we boost 1 card, they end up spending 6. So if they hit the ganked first, they hit the ganked first. That's really unfortunate. So, oh, hold on. Before you access more, you're encountering Hagen. I'll use its ability. It's not automated. You can save 3. So yeah, you always want to, I guess, hit advance card because it's a ganked. They can totally afford it. Wait, does this cost more than 3 to break? Yeah, it costs 4. Got him. I found Makler so much worse than Damara. 5 cost is awful, and I never made money back. The strength rarely mattered, but Damara bypasses godsend. Yeah, I think Damara's bypass is like way better. So you just gotta spend 1 range. So you don't want to break, you just, yeah, perfect. Yeah, the bypass on Damara can be like game winning, while the credit on, yeah, I don't know. I like Damara a lot better. All right, so they pen 4 instead of 3. Yeah, it's no problem. Just not implemented. All right, once we ice up archives, hopefully their money falls apart. I don't think they're getting enough money from Tech Trader for this to be worth it. They're probably also playing the back. All right, SSL means that we can IPO this turn, but we can't ice archives. They're on 18. They just drew an EMP device. That's 4 influence. That's a cheap hardware. I think that assumes that they're playing inside job. I don't know. All right, we got our brainstorm. It doesn't do a lot when they have no hand. So we can just do credit IPO. Unfortunately, we don't have anything that much stronger. Yeah, so that gives them the 3 credits a turn at least. I'm assuming inside job, definitely. I love that combo. It's cool, but I don't know. They're playing so much hardware and trash cards. I think we need to see, like, they're probably playing spy camera, stuff like that. And maybe you don't have enough slots. Paragon, 2+1 on sec testing. The Stibble rig is going to be such a liability. They break it for 2, we lose 1. So I don't know if we can really res it. And if they hit again, they have the flip switch tech. Okay, so this is a thimble rig. If we res it, we can reposition. Ah, man, it's a bummer. Man, they just need to run that snare. And we lost our Helheim. Oh man, we should Helheim. Oh, they have a 1 in 5 here of losing. We'll res the Hagen. We can still IPO at next turn. Maybe we shouldn't res the Hagen because then they have a chance of hitting a snare. Oh, but they used their... I forgot they had a boomerang on it. Never mind, we shouldn't have res that. Whoops. Hit the Fairchild. Yeah, if they had a boomerang out, we shouldn't have res that. That was a fuck up. Gain... Yeah, we'll take the money. Alright, Loki. So Loki will be a barrier with 3 subs. That's actually kind of expensive. It's 2 for 6 for them to break, unless they want to shovel their whole hand, which is palatable. I don't know what we restore to. Like, we always restore for Helheim servers on HQ. That's probably one of the, like, unfortunately one of the better plays, but it's like waiting for them to fuck up as opposed to pushing us forward. Kind of like Helheim HQ. We're gonna try it. It just seems so wild. Alright, so we'll put Helheim on HQ, and it'll let us install another card. We'd have to res it. I guess we now draw. That feels terrible, and we have an Ikawa. Okay. So, what can we do with Ikawa? Hope they forget it. Putting an upgrade on HQ also sends a message that you're interested in protecting HQ. Yeah, like it does. It definitely does bring them in. Like it does threaten them. But like, I think maybe they want to run now because they have 27 credits. F up is unadmonished. Did we swear? I don't think we did. I can't even tell anymore. The thing is, like, they can lock us on R&D pretty well. We scored a Vacheron, which isn't amazing. They drew Deuces Wild. They're playing Deuces Wild. They might expose an ice. They're drawing 2. Okay, now the snare is no longer lethal. Maybe we should have put the Brainstorm there. Okay, they're running here. We can't res this. I don't know how we win. We have to build, like, the ganked server. Like, we really need Brainstorm ganked. But they can break it. Ichi is a start, especially on R&D. Yeah, we just have to tank up here. Here we go. Merska Finn, how's it going? Morning, good morning. How you doing? FC3 is nice anti-Amina tech? It's not. FC3 is terrible against Amina. Amina breaks FC3 for 4. It's real bad. Oh yeah, we should have iced up archives at this point. We might be in a corner here. They've got so much money off sec testing because we just haven't respected it. Like, they've probably got in 24 credits off of this. This is also pretty good tech against our deck. Alright, so we can't feed them the snare because they won't die. If we res the Loki... Oh man, I don't know what we do. We're cornered. It's 6? No, it's not 6. No, it's 4. It's 4. FC3 is sort of good against Amina so far. The runner says, oh, I break this really efficiently and runs through it a lot. But if you pay 4 too many times, your money disappears. It's like an Eli. Yeah, it's a Hagen. It has to be Hagen. Is he on the ice? Oh yeah, sorry. No. No, Helheim. Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's 2 for 3, Alex. It's incredibly efficient. There is no code gate that Amina is really bad against outside of like Wormhole. Alright, they pay 5. At least we paid 6. Oh, they paid too many. No, I think they paid 1 too many. I think you paid 1 too many. It's cool to have 2 barriers in a row so they don't get too much value out of Mackler. How did they get that money? Oh, we left archives open for the whole game. Oh, you're right. They also don't even have to break that. Oh, well, even 2 subs. That's true. 2 credits for 2 subs, so 4 credits with the 2 for the boost. Yeah, so you should. You have to boost once, 2 credits, and break 2 subs, 2 credits. Then you get 1 back. So it should just be 3 altogether. Yo, happy for What's up, Andre? How's it going? Cluster Fox. Oh yeah, what up? Welcome. No, they wouldn't get 1 back as 3 subs unless you break all. Never mind. On the 1 back, you need to break all 3. That's a good point. You get it back. They'll get it back on the Hagen anyways. Whatever. Ornament is probably the best against Amina. You pay 4 to res and they pay 4 to break. Yeah, but you lose 1. And I think that's a lot of times more important. Especially when you're low credits where they're like corporate grand Amina. It's just like, Jesus, kill me. Well, not exactly, excuse me. They hit the Helheim, that's gonna get to trash. They hit the Iqua, and they can't steal it. That's gonna be some snare heat. Ooh, NGO in the remote! Don't mind if I do. Beans. That looks like the Iqua, right? We could have had them. They just had to do the snare earlier. My biggest issue with Amina is Amakua, as criminals can set up with Amakua and then for the late game put down Amina and they can't afford to. Yeah, it's totally true. Wow, we probably should ice up archives at some point. I just don't think we have any, I don't know, we have to spend like 6 credits on this ice on the remote. Like, what do we put there? Gatekeeper's terrible. Fairchild's not great. So like, I don't even know what we have for the remote, for archives, excuse me. And this is our final ganked. So if we res this for all of the money, they break it for 2 credits. I don't know what we're doing here. Just drop tier on archives, casual tier. Alright, prognostic install flip switch. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, they even have flip switch. Like our combo's never gonna work. At least it'll be like an end to run. Dude, like all you need here on archives is just like a slot machine and you're good. Like if you just have a slot machine, you're fine. Eli even. Eli's really good. Like the problem with our deck right now is we're running very few barriers. I don't think I've played an HP deck that doesn't run Hagen and Eli or IP block or something like that in a while. And I don't think IP block would be particularly good in this matchup, but it's surprisingly barrier light. 6 to break Ichi? I guess they get 2 back. But damn, okay. Tax metal on singles. Trash at AAL. Damn. Alright, where we're gonna force him to get through that Hagen over and over again, right? Gatekeeper's so bad. Especially if it's the outermost, right? Like if it's archives alone, it's just a gatekeeper. Oh man, there's nothing we can do. Another turn they gain 3 credits. And Scry. Which is so good, right? Because it makes your prognostic Q loop come out. It's like worth way more than 3 credits. They're basically playing this game with infinite money. Tears of a Clown. Oh. Yeah, do you have the Ocarina link? I'd like to be able to pull that up after this game. I'm thankful Mockler's bad, though, given how absurd McAlter and Amin are. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think a lot of people are. Awesome. It's that Google Doc. Okay, cool. So they're installing Boomerang just to target Hagen. So was that worth it? They pay 2 credits to get 2 credits instead of what's it with Mockler? It's like, well, it's not free. This shuffles their deck though, which fucks up their prognostic. Well, I guess they just use their prognostic. I don't know. Okay, that's fine. We lose that. Well, cool thing about Loki now is that we can pull Ichi. That's cool. That's fine. All right, we're fighting a fight. We're putting a foot down here. Archives is no longer open. Go figure it out somewhere else. We have 14 cards left in R&D. Oh my god. Looking at other code gates, there's just wormhole macrophage really. Like who breaks macrophage? Yeah, nobody does. All right, so we can res this for 7 credits, and they can break it for 1. Mamma mia. I don't know what we do here. I really don't think we have a game. Okay, take back my Mockler vote. After researching the ice, the one I had trouble with in the edge case spiderweb. Whoa, is Amina particularly, not Amina, is Damara particularly bad against spiderweb? Oh, they install class hack. Okay, our snare is a lot worse. So we have to basically wait until they run out of cards. That'll happen at some point. I'm sure of it. It's literally just a cat, unadvanced, and spiderweb. Mackler's +1 strength matters for. Oh, right, because Damara's 1 strength, Mackler's 2. Well, shouldn't it matter for other things that you don't have to boost for? Like, what's the... I guess the math on everything's the same. Like what's it cost to break IP block? Like, stuff that actually matters. All right. We're not resing the Gatekeeper. We're definitely not resing the Brainstorm. Are we resing the Hagen? No, we're not. Oh, sorry, it is resed. Of course we are. But Damara boosts 2 for +3. Yeah, it seems better. They're doing that boomerang combo again. I guess you gotta get your tech trader's worth of it. Imagine them play Corporate Grand instead of tech trader. Like, we'd be underwater. Haha! Joke's on you! We can gain 2 credits. Six cards left in grip. Our Ikwa is safe. In the end, I went back to finding 2 influence to Croter, but my view on Mockler was tainted by all the anti-boomerang spiderwebs I ran into. I'm surprised that you're running into that much stuff. That's wild. All right, they play this for 4, I guess. So we could res this again for 7 credits, and then they spend 4. I feel like that's a terrible trade, but I feel like we're gonna lose if we don't do it. That's such a bummer. At least they have to spend 4 to make us lose it. Like, at least it's better to res a code gate for Amina, whether when it sits behind everything here. I think this is the only Ikoa we have in our deck. So yeah, SSL, they're on game point. So this might attract them to HQ. You have to throw a card out here. But like, this is such a bummer. Like, we literally don't have a line of play. Oh, wow. Well, we don't have Biotic or anything to never advance this thing with. So I don't know, chat. At least we can throw out an agenda. They may be just sec testing archives over and over again. Yo, Woolen, what up? Gank's Brainstorm? Gank Brainstorm isn't going to do anything because they have Flip Switch. It's never going to do anything. Let alone they have 26 credits. Like, it's never going to matter. Okay, so here, what's the most taxing? If we make it thinking. If we make it an Ichi, they definitely want to break at least 2 of those subroutines. So this would be a Sentry, which would be 1, 2 for strength, then 3, 4, 5, and they get 2 back, so it'd be 3 credits. Not particularly good. If we make it a barrier, they have to do 1 subroutine on top of it. If we make it a Fairchild 3, ooh, more subroutines. No, it's a terrible idea. I'm not gonna do the math, but I feel like it's a Hagen. Got a Sensible Smoke or Wild Sports if you want a game. After this, we're gonna do a lot of talking stuff, I think. Yeah. Total flavor win. This Aztec feels just as impressive at endgame as prepaid Kate, like mother, like son. I don't know. This doesn't, well, like, this deck doesn't, excuse me. There's no real oppression into this deck besides the fact that we gave them about 30 credits for free. Because otherwise they just have credits and money. Like, there's nothing, I don't know. Uh-oh, chat, we need to talk. Sort of, yeah, sort of. I'm not angry, just disappointed. I hope there are previews and ECs on current or mechanic changes. Not here. They said they would do those relatively soon. They said it would be like a month or 2 months. That was a month ago, so like, I don't know. I haven't been talking to Nisei recently, so who knows. FC3. Like, they have no multi-X's. Where's their turning wheel? Where's their R&D interface? A different chat. Armitage for 4. Yeah, they're just gonna camp the remote. Like, that's totally fine. Gain 3 from SSL. Rashida and remote. Credit. There's a big chance that like we totally fucked it up. Don't tell YouTube. We totally goofed it up by getting our server destroyed in the early game. Like our big economy server with Tranquility, Dharma, and everything. Like, we lost everything and we put all our eggs in one proverbial basket, which was a problem. Are they in Hushuk or something? I don't know. So far, influence has been very countable. 4, 5, 6, and a restricted card. So I don't know. I assume with Az, like almost everyone plays R&D interface. We don't res any of this. Hushuk, does Hushuk even look good? Yeah, Hushuk 1 looks really good. Yeah, they easily could be on Hushuk. That would make the EMP device seem a bit better for 4 influence. Armitage is good. Bank Job also is maybe a one of in this deck. Yeah, they could be on Hushuk. We also have 9 cards in R&D. Yeah, they're going to win. Buffer Drive, that's another influence. EMP device seems kind of silly when the corp gives you 30 credits. Yeah, it's probably just for the Hushuk, if anything. I never corrupt as with R&D interface. Oh, if they had R&D interface, this game would have been open like 6 years ago. I wonder if they just can't draw it. Buffer Drive is interesting with Boomerang, right? Because you put things on the bottom of your deck, you actually shuffle them so it comes back up on top. We could have conceded this game a while ago. I don't know. Actually, we have like a really narrow out, which is them eating it on snare. The more we draw, the sooner we lose. Very good. Install advanced events will end the game. Wait, have they been running last click? No, they haven't. They are cleverer than that. I don't know why they're not running HQ every turn. Like, they definitely could be closing this game out. The thing is, okay, imagine they didn't get their, you know, all the credits off of archives. Do they have enough economy in the game? Oh, it's a diversion? That's totally fine. Like, they're spending more than 5 credits to get in. Like, losing 5 credits for us doesn't matter. I don't think I like the diversion here. Like, this is fine. It's a Mockler. Excuse me, Hagen. What was I gonna say? I don't remember. It's fine. Can you DRM a 3-2 and install snare? Nah, we can't. We don't have any. I was talking to my friend about Turning Wheel in context of being banned in most recent lockdown, and she was saying Turning Wheel secretly positive play experience because the end games are actually over. Yeah, I agree with that. I think the fact that Turning Wheel, like, I like Turning Wheel because it means that if the game isn't ending, you have a way to end the game. Like, we're going to talk about this after that when I'm going to show you the GNK footage. Like, it's so important. Like, especially those sort of decks that, like, I'm going to do nothing and ice up centrals and then be like, I'm going to advance my ice or, like, neural EMP recursion. Like, it's good to have a way to close the game. I think that's really important. It also makes random accesses technically slightly better. Like, even if you're just running, like, that's good. They're running last click. I guess we didn't install advanced events though, but like, oh, that's so wild. What even is this? Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I think it's good. The thing is also, like, it's not even that strong modernly. Like, well, it's not true. I think border control is really good against it, and EC tokens are really good against it, but at least they're interesting. Yeah, buffer drive distortion, I don't really know why people do. No, it's not good. Like they spent a lot of clicks to make us lose 5, and they didn't even gain money. It's not a count siphon. It's even a nice backup for your other multi-axis. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, turning wheel is, I'm a fan of turning wheel. I definitely am a fan. All right, I'm not gonna wait for them to accidentally hit snare. I think we're just gonna install advance. If they run this last click, we win. But they'd have to like they've accessed this already. They'd have to goof it up phenomenally for this to happen. Now they don't know our deck in theory, so this could be 3 border controls and we win unless they run centrals. There's only 6 cards in R&D, so I think if they Hushik, no, actually if they Hushik, we win because the only agenda in R&D is Vacheron. Okay, we lose. Yeah, I'm just gonna auto pass priority. Playing medium a fair bit like lately in my back in time games. I like medium. It's even fun to play against. It's tough. You really think so? Medium's no fun to play against. We still have to hit these buttons? Excuse me. 3 clicks and 4 credits plus what they needed to break and what they even down anywhere near 0. Yeah, I think the thing about this deck, like I'm assuming buffer drive is a bit better because they put it on top of their deck and then they can draw with Oracle May 100% of the time. Man, I was so tired of medium. Please don't access the ganked first. I don't think you ever access the upgrade first. Why do they do that? Alright, well, we didn't really have a chance in that one. You might have had to play at gank plus snare IPO. Well, gank plus snare, like, you're right. Oh, no, well, you're right. They've been running if we haven't advanced it. But ganked is not going to do anything because of flip switch. Snare's not going to end, like, it's not going to be lethal unless they really goof it somehow. And Loki, it has to be Hagen. I'm not firing it. High five to turning wheel. There's counterplay leaving face check ice on the outside and takes time to build up. Stargate dodges RD, traps and kills ice. Yeah, I agree. Hey, good game. Yeah, ice on archives, we needed it a long time ago, and then I think we could have shut down their money, but you see right now their money is drying up because all they're left with is Armitage and Oracle, and eventually that will run out of, but like we gave them way too much money. I'm liking it. They can get in every turn. I'm trying to keep them at bay long enough to get a brain trust into HQ so I can trigger light it. If we're in last card in R&D, I would have a chance. I'm not sure. I don't think I have a great read on the meta. Well, Corpus playable in Lockdown 5. Hey, see you there. All right. All right, so things to talk about. Firstly, Ocarina. No. Hold the phone. Yo, who here likes Slay the Spire? I can't say this enough. I think you get 20% off if you have Slay the Spire on Steam. I think that's what I've been told. You got to give this a try. I'm currently like 25 hours into it. There's 2,724 reviews, 97% positive. This is a very Slay the Spire type game. Basically, it's a deck builder roguelike where you're traveling down a path to get to a final boss, and it gets more and more difficult, and you choose your paths. And this one came out, I think, last week. It's slightly different than Slay the Spire, as it's not like a straight card game. Your cards are generally either spells or units, and you basically play them on different floors of a train, because trains have floors. It is nuts. It's so good. It's kind of amazing. If you like Slay the Spire, definitely check this out. I think it does a lot of things a lot better than Slay the Spire, and this is coming from someone like who's played hundreds of hours of Slay the Spire. Like it does a lot of things better than Slay the Spire. I see how some people might prefer Slay the Spire to this, but it's wild. It's really flexible. It's really good at making you feel very powerful when the game starts, because once you've beat the game and you're on in as the first ascension level or their equivalent, when you start the game you get a relic. You also, every deck you build is like a 2-color deck, so there's so much more options compared to Slay the Spire, where you're not just playing like, oh, this is my silent deck or whatever, stuff like that. There's a lot of different viable builds. There's a lot of different problems you have to tackle. It does rewards really well. Like with Slay the Spire, I didn't get into the ascension stuff a lot, which is weird, and in this game I have, but it does a lot of cool things with rewarding you with like gold cards and giving you reasons to push up on the ascension levels. It's really good at tracking your friends' experience and have leaderboards. It does so many things so well. Definitely check this out if you can. Steven, what's up? I can only beat the level 1 train so far. Like the first train, or like the first lowest level whole route? Tower defense plus Slay the Spire. Yeah, tower defense I think is a bit misleading. Like I think it is tower defense. Like you put up your units and then they kind of fight each other and then they kind of crawl in a very predictable pattern. But it's not like a tower. It's not tower defensey. It's not like well, I don't know. Just need to unlock 3 neutral cards and 1 artifact. Yeah, Brian from Sansan working on the game. Glad to see the plug. Oh no way! I had no idea. It's fucking shit. It's really good. I'm a huge fan. I'm gonna be playing a lot of this. It just recently came out. It's missing controller support, I think, right now, or maybe it actually isn't. But definitely check this out if you care about Slay the Spire. I can't recommend this enough. Favorite factions, Andre? Right now, I've been climbing the ranks, playing. I'm a big fan of the. I don't want to spoil it. The factions are really cool. Okay, I'm gonna spoil one thing. This game does factions, and you know how like there's just certain things that you would assume to be in a deck builder? Like one of the factions is built around buffing. The idea that they can buff their own cards. So they have a lot of like ways to like make their things progressively stronger throughout the game. But the way they do it is this is a faction of some sort of underground mining little, they kind of look like the little black furry things from Spirited Away. Is that in Spirited Away? You know, the coal grubs or whatever they're called? And basically you put them into a line with your hero, with other characters, and whenever the turn ends, if they're still alive, they get fed to your people at the front of the line. So instead of making it just like buff card, they made the buff cards little minions, and then on top of that it becomes really interesting because then you can use them to chump block. You can different minions have different powers. I don't know, they just do a lot of cool things, a lot of things that you expect in really interesting ways. I think that faction is really cool. Yeah, Spirited Away. Oh, fantastic. That's where we're going. Also, Netrunner adjacent. Tower defense, Slay the Spire. I spent so many hours in this. Brian Sansan, just need to unlock 3 neutral cards and 1 artifact. Random is cool as hell. Yeah, also one of the choices you can start is like totally random, which is great. It just gives you random stuff to start with. I'm still working with my playthrough Disco Elysium, and then I got playdates for Spy Party coming up. Just need to find time to fit in some Monster Train exploration. Definitely check it out. Yo, is Spy Party out? Is that out yet? Yeah, I also need to do Disco Elysium. I feel like I finished a game recently. No. Okay, so we want to talk about the Ocarina thing, and I have a link somewhere. Hold on. Anyways, you got to check out Monster Train if you like Slay the Spire. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. Okay, so this is the Ocarina thing. This is this weekend? They were in my neighbor Totoro too, I think. Oh, really? I never saw that one. Okay, so basic idea of this tournament. I think we actually have the post from Sanjay. We'll find it. We'll find it. Yeah, okay. So the idea is that Sanjay's running a tournament this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, and there's some basic rules to it. Basically, you don't pick an ID. You do legal deck building, but you don't pick an ID like you normally do with Netrunner. You basically either pick an agenda or a connection. And then you start with the text of the agenda or connection like it's your ID card. And then on top of it, Sanjay has decided how much influence you should have. Here's our FAQ. Oh, thank you, Sanjay. Hey everyone, I was the last player. Yo, Sam, how's it going? Good game. So this is the FAQ as well, which I think is all in the same document. So there's general rules questions here. We can just go through this real quickly. Talking about ties and stuff. Yeah, deck construction questions. DJ Fenderson Rebirth are banned. But the basic idea, not to get too deep into it, is what does the game look like? It basically adds a bunch of different IDs to the game. And then a big issue with this is figuring out how much influence each ID should have. This is going to be my hot take, and I don't know the format. I want to really see how this plays out. But I feel like there's like some really strong answers, and unfortunately a lot of really weak answers. Ooh, there's also interesting other abilities. Okay, so like looking at Criminal, the cards you can play is Theophilus Bagbiter with 17 influence. That's honestly interesting, and I think you can build a combo deck around it. Starting as Class Act, I think that's amazingly good. You have one link. You're basically Andy with 12 influence, with a better ability that lasts the whole name. Do you want to just be a really bad, a worse criminal wizard? Well, not worse, strictly. Louis Guillerme would get trash cards blanked. Okay, Louis is an option if you want to play a gang sign deck. Kyros McIntyre I think is interesting, but I think that ability is probably just a bit worse than Los. Hernando Cortez I think is relevant, 12 influence though, and Bachlan Botchkin's once per turn. I think in Criminal there's not a lot of choices unless you're doing really weird stuff, but if you're just playing good stuff, I think you just do Class Act every time, right? Shaper, Pawn Shop, that's the weird thing about this too. It's like, it's an issue, right? Like it's starting with the ability and making sure you have the ability turn one is a big deal. Aesop pawn shop decks can be okay until they draw their Aesops. Like, you don't have to start with Aesops. You can choose to start with Aesops, but you have less influence. But you have Aesop's turn one. Is that worth the trade-off? I honestly don't know, and I'm interested to figure out whether that's worth it. And Goletz is saying, oh man, Nihilist, I like it. And I think that's a really big deal. Like, Aesop's is really cheap to install, and putting 3 of in your deck is okay, because if you lose your Aesops, you can get another one. I think that's actually a big point, is this Aesops is untrashable. But like, cards like the Nihilist are expensive. Like, that's good to have, and I like that better. Beth also, like, it's a really good card. Starting with it is definitely a good ability, but like, it's only costs 2 to install, and you can maybe even tutor if you need to. I think the Artist is definitely one of the better ones, just because it has a link. It has a 50 card deck though, which is wild, and its ability is good on turn one, and it's expensive to install, and it's not a card you want multiples in your deck. Psych Mike, weird. Cyber Trooper Telute starts the game with only 1 link despite the +1 in their text box. Okay, so Cyber Trooper Talute also, I don't know. I feel like you could draw into it. On the Anarch side, Begot I think would have just been a fine Anarch to print. I just think the fact that it says HQ on it would make people weird, but like, that could be good. Human First and Urogniv Mercs, probably not playable. Page Piper, it's a deck thinning deck if you really want to. 17 influence, build some weird combo deck. I think you could do Page Piper and probably play Fear the Masses and have like something very interesting. Archivist, bit boring. Nihilist, very cool stuff going on there. I think the Nihilist is pretty wild. You don't have Freedom's ability, but I think that's pretty interesting. Dr. Lovegood with Adam, I don't get it. Jack Sinclair, not a bad ability, but again, this is a cheap cards to install. I think the Corp might be more interesting. The idea with the Corp is that you choose an agenda, and there's a lot of options. I just need some water. Yo, Mr. Krebs, what's up? Haven't really looked much into this, but never got the link on Class Act. Wouldn't the ability itself not strong enough with the influence deduction? I think there's a chance it would. I think this is in some ways trying to emulate the old Andromeda of yore that did come with that similar ability, but even worse, and influence. But I think it's also flavorful, right? Like, Class Act is it's a risky kind of bougie thing, and you know, it's good, definitely. Like, it's something a wealthy person might have. Wait, why would you pick Bologna? What would Bologna do? Doing off campus with Page Piper is super intriguing. Yeah, there's like some really cool things you could do. Tokay says high risk plus punitive. Yo, what up, Tokay? I don't know if I said hi. Yeah, very reasonable. Like, all right, let's go through this. Advanced Concept Hopper. Honestly, probably a very good ability, because you start with it played, and that's the best ability to get. That's the best time to get this ability down. I'm a big fan of Advanced Concept Hopper. Personality profiles, don't honestly know what it does. I think it's the one that punishes you for tutoring cards from your deck. Okay, it's an option, I guess. Self-destruct chips. It's basically a better version of the HB deck, but you have a bigger deck. Archetypal deployment test. That's interesting. SensorNet. Don't think I know what that is. Successful field test. It's like a weird next dice and voting machine initiative. Honestly, I could see that. You can make a Fairchild 3 unclickable through. All agendas cost 5. There's no way. Bologna, you start with +5 credits. Oh, because it's when you scored, gain 5 credits. Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Jessica, you said it did. Didn't Grendel start with 10 credits, but also had a bad pub and less influence? Yes, but it also was a 40 card deck. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a 40 card deck. All right, Jinteki, Ancestral Imager. This card actually is dope. This is the side game on HQ run 1, right? Like, that's a really strong ability. Dedicated Neural Net. I don't even know what this is. No, this is the one. This one's legitimately cool. Unfortunately, you don't have the economy to support this the same way a Nisei Division is, but if you play this with snares, oh my god, it's wild. What's Ancestral Imager? Is that the copy the text of another agenda? No, that's the net damage one if they jack out or something. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. Flower Sermon, a very strong ability in the early game. You can play some sort of like RP-esque, you know, the one asset spam deck where you play political dealings. That's really strong. Water Monopoly, you kind of dickhead, aren't you? Bacterial Programming can be interesting in combo. House of Knives, it's okay. Nisei Mark II, you're going to see a lot of that. And Improved Protein Source, you give the Corp for a runner 4 credits for 22 influence. That's funny. AR Enhanced Security, this seems absurdly strong, but only 7 influence. Is that good enough? Probably. Better Citizen Program, that's the one where they take a link. This is cool to remember what the cards are. A tag when they install an icebreaker or run. Yep, that's a really strong ability. Nisei is tough because you can't include Nisei in it. Oh, that's so true. That makes cards like this better, where you had no interest to put this in a deck whatsoever. They just don't play their run events, do they? And then it's really hard because you have to think of the meta and be like, are people going to play run events? That's wild. And sister image turning wheel bounces is fun. The thing is with turning wheel, a lot of times they don't jack out. They just end the run. Flower Sermon seems better for Glacier. Yeah, Flower Sermon is like Nisei tokens on R&D plus acceleration. Yeah, Flower Sermon seems really good. Escalade Vitriol, that's a really tag me deck. It's not really good. Improved Tracers, it's an option. Net Quarantine, yeah, if you want to do an Aryabhata thing, that's pretty good to start with. Puppet Master, whoa, Puppet Master, that's actually pretty compelling if you want to play some sort of advanceable ice thing. That's surprisingly Red Planet Couriers. Yo, Red Planet Couriers, Beal, let's go. Rebranding team? Oh man, we actually have to talk about this today. Remind me about this after. Remote Data Farm, that's your hand size, whatever. Remastered Edition, that's a strong ability. And Bellona, which is just 10 credits. After that, Crisis Management. Ooh, wait, is Crisis Management? No, that's high risk. No, is this the tag? Yeah, tag if they do meat damage. Okay. Glen Station, honestly, I'm worried people are going to play Glen Station and just take the government takeover out of their deck and play some sort of prison nonsense. Yeah, you can do that. Broad Daylight. Does this have tokens on it? Oh, so you start with bad. Yeah, it's not really that good, I guess. Divested Trust, this is legitimate. I think this is really scary. It says usable once per game. So this is really good. Yeah, punitive deck. It just kind of, it's fine. Firmware updates. Honestly, firmware updates is, oh no, because you're not. Okay, so firmware updates seems bad. And it probably is bad, but if anyone hasn't seen the combo, this is amazing in Titan. Firmware updates, you get 3 counters on it, and then you can play Yale, Mark Yale, and then you can use those counters to get whatever, like, oh, it's not that good. 6 credits? No. Yeah, 3, 9, 10 credit burst, something like that. Yeah, you get like 10 credits. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can do it, I guess. I think it's interesting. What else we got? A Hostile Takeover. That's fun. That's like make your own Grendel. High Risk Investment. This seems incredibly strong. And Transport Monopoly, which I don't think is really that impactful. This card seems really strong. This costs you the BP, but I think it's a fair trade-off. Broad Daylight becomes a tank, but single click. Right, so you always have the ability to do two meat damage, which you're right, is actually very relevant. I think Broad Daylight is, I'm undervaluing it. I think the fact that like you can flip with biotech isn't the strongest part of biotech at all. I think just the 2 net damage thing is really strong. When you assume Andy to be prevalent, you have at least 3 bravados for auto include run events. Yeah, well, I think like bravados, dirty laundries. There's not that many run events. You have to install programs though, and it basically forces them to play multiple programs in the same turn, which it's going to be fine. It's like a fine ability. There's nothing wrong with it. You can't forfeit your ID. How does that work? Yeah, DRM for government takeover, hide it. Yeah, it's going to be really annoying. Let me tell you, I've never seen that agenda, Glen Station, be scored and not it be a super absolute piss off. I'm really excited for this format. Is this being streamed? Is this being streamed? Doofs as well? Yeah, Doof as well. I think Embezzle will get play, some play. Shaper really doesn't have run events. Besides, I don't know, Stealth I guess plays some Cold Read, but more likely whatever the Compile, I think it's called Compile. Anarch has Dirty Laundry largely. Not that many. It is, you should commentate. Oh, thank you, Ians. I need to arrange streaming and I haven't yet. When is it, Sanjay? Do you need help? I think I can do Saturday. I'll be down. This is Sunday. Oh, this is Sunday. That's even easier. Let me know. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you want to help streaming that, we'd definitely be pleased to help out with that. This seems like it's gonna be really fun. Stimag is always around. Oh yeah, Stimag's a card. Yeah, Stimag's pretty good, guys. They'll probably play Stimag. I can't believe I forgot that. Yeah, if you want to stream, I'd be delighted. Okay, cool. Is it possible? Can you throw me an email? Metropol Grid. I can respond to you after that. In fact, there's a couple of emails I need to respond to. We can sort it out. Sorry to put you on the spot. You don't have to need. You can. Someone else can stream it. Is what I'm saying. I don't want to ambush you in front of people. Okay, cool. Will do. Thank you. Cool. All right. That seems really cool. Excited to see that. Well, I know what I'm doing on Sunday. Just Sanjay, so the last thing I want to plug, this is the most important thing for people who watch this before Sunday. How do they join? How do they sign up? What's the skinny? Yeah, Sunday now sorted. Fuck yeah. Registration ahead of time is greatly appreciated. So you can register here. You can find this link on Reddit r/Netrunner. There's the StimHack forums. There's not like a nice link, but sign up if you want. It's going to be 12:45 Eastern. Get started around 1 p.m. Eastern on the May the 31st. RMBC sounds awesome. Cool. All right. So dude, get in on that. Okay, so hear me out about this. This is what I wanted to do for the rest of the stream, and we haven't done this before, but we had a GNK on Tuesday, and we played. I mean, we had 14 players, maybe 16, 14 players. Yeah, that's it, Sanjay. That's it. And I recorded the games, and I'm not going to edit these games together because they're not particularly great in terms of showing content. So what I thought instead, because we have them and we've never done this, is I just want to kind of play them right now and talk through them. I don't think we're going to play through like obviously all 3 hours of this, but I just want to show you what we did and we can talk through it. We can kind of shit talk me throughout that, and we'll just kind of have a viewing party to some extent. Andre, can you also plug Lockdown 5 Vespers hosting on Saturday? Yeah, easy. What's the plug? What? How do I plug? I saw the thing here. I'm gonna search lockdown. Okay, previously Iberian 5 lockdown invitation. We did talk about it. Did Vesper get a new name yet? I think right now they're just on lockdown. I don't think they figured it out. So the lockdown 5, if you don't know, it's an interesting format in which, if I'm not mistaken, correct me as soon as I goof this up, but basically certain IDs are worth certain points, and it basically highly incentivizes you in this tournament to play underrepresented and what are considered underpowerful IDs. It's cool because you see a lot more variety, you see a lot of weirder stuff, and you don't end up watching a tournament where there's like every single corpus is Mari. You probably see some as Mari though. So do check this stuff out. I think anyone can join. I think there was like, so these are the corp ID costs. So it's Mari and controlling message there at the top. Well, controlling message really. And then it goes down. There's a lot to read to figure it out, but this is the 5th one they've ran, and people have been enjoying this stuff. You can watch the old streams on Vesper_DBS. This will be on Saturday, so do check that out. Okay, cool. So I want to talk about the decks that I played at this tournament and why I think this is not fit for the internet. Okay, so I get kind of anxious before tournaments. Asmari is effectively banned as I think there are no zero cost runners. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so there's no Asmari in CTM. Okay, so I legitimately get a bit anxious and spend a lot of time building things before tournaments and not a lot of time testing them. And a big reason why is I want to always show content in which we do something that is interesting enough and also compelling enough. There's a lot of situations, like unfortunately that last game that we played at the top of the stream, we didn't have a lot of outs, and then it makes really bad content the way I see it. And I'm really like, I want to make good stuff that shows off good play and interesting interactions and stuff like that, and I get really bummed out when I can't make that happen. So I spent a lot of time trying to figure out something that I think would be compelling and also not run into a problem where the corporation plays scarcity resources on turn 1 and then we really don't do anything smart until we lose the game. And that's an issue because that is something that can still modernly happen in Netrunner. I'm not saying there's anything inherently wrong with that, but that's a problem. Should I turn my internet off? You too? Wait, what? So let's talk about the deck that we tried to build, and I'll show you where it came. This is the thing that we tried to build. It's 54 cards because we didn't exactly figure it out, but I wanted to play Gagarin in Deep Space because firstly, I like playing Gagarin in Deep Space. I know it wasn't fit for the internet. Oh, I see what I said. Yeah. We'll get to that, I guess. So my comment was replying. Oh yeah. Okay. My comment was replying about getting nervous for tournaments. Parallel says, hi, you too. Yeah, totally. Did I talk about the NVN advertisement agenda? No, you're right on time, Tokes. This all makes sense. So I want to play Gagarin. But because I enjoy playing Gagarin every once in a while. I played it at Worlds. It's fun. It has some weird, you feel pretty powerful playing it abstractly. You get to do some cool things. You get to fork the runner. You feel like, you get to that real Wayland experience of being like, oh, all my shit's running. Okay, I'm going to throw this at you, going to throw this at you. Whatever, it's fine. I know a lot of people don't like it. I don't like playing against it, I'll be honest. But I wanted to do something different because the Gagarin lists that people have been playing for the last couple months are incredibly underrepresented in a meta that doesn't have Apocalypse in it. They're really good. But the problem is I think it's like a solved issue, but I wanted to do something slightly different, and I'm fascinated about a certain card. Now, we saw somebody, shit if I don't have a name, but somebody recently was playing a Jinteki Replicating Perfection deck that's played Divert Power in it. And we were watching this, we played the other side, and I had no idea what this was about. And then we found out after the game that they shared the deck list. And Divert Power has some really wild interactions with another card that I can never remember the name of. I'm going to just write the word exchange and hope it works out. It did. And this is Indian Union Stock Exchange. This card's neat. It says when you res it or play it, or sorry, when you res it or res or play any other cards that are out of faction, you can gain a credit. And that's cool. And it's not that much money. Sure, it's really cool if you can continually de-res your stuff. But there's a really neat interaction that they were talking about when they showed off their deck with Divert Power, is that every time that you Divert Power, you can de-res everything. And as long as their assets are upgrades, you can res them one by one, right? So you can res this, gain a credit, res this, gain a credit, res this, gain a credit, res this, gain a credit. Now, we're obviously like way down the path of best case scenario where you have all these things on the board that are not touched by anyone, and you get a Divert Power, and you have your Indian Union Stock Exchange up. But that's the idea. And why would you want to do that? Well, because it's absurd with Nassix. It's like really gross in Nassix. Nassix loves any ability that you can get, like any individual ability that gives you credit. It doesn't want to gain 6 credits from an IPO. It wants to gain 1 credit 6 times if possible. So there's this really gross combo that is a bit, just, a bit hopeful of everything lining up, where you Divert Power, re-res all your neutral stuff, which is the easiest, get all this money from Indian Stock Exchange, which you put on Nassix, and then you pop your Nassix and you get 30 credits. What do you do with the 30 credits? Honestly, I don't know, but it seemed cool, and this is what we wanted to do. Creo says, me and Pyox were on that jank. Thank you. Sorry I couldn't throw the name down that easily. I appreciate you sharing this. Feeling bad about trying to make interesting decks and it's not working out isn't your fault. Standard's kind of bad right now. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know enough to say that. Anyways, so I wanted to do that, but I wanted to do another card that I thought would work with this, and it's a card I like a lot. And this is where we're talking about ads. This is Ad Blitz. And this seemed like the same idea. If your hand or archives is full of ads, you can play this in Wayland, in Gagarin. You get a credit for playing this, then you res all your ads with Nassix, and one of the biggest thing is all the ads in the game, -1, they're not Wayland. Most of them are neutral, like Pad Campaign, CSR Campaign, Launch Campaign. Then you also have like Maryland, which is a bit iffy because it gets shuffled into your deck, and a bunch of other nonsense. But the idea is I wanted to do something like Divert Power, but have it have legs in the case where you're losing the board. Because this is the idea. You have an Indian Union Stock Exchange and a Nassix, again, hopeful, and then you play Ad Blitz, and then you install and res all your assets, and you get that sweet, 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 sweet Nassix value. That's the idea. What do you do with all the money? Well, now we're playing Wayland, so we have C-Source closed accounts, and we actually have ways to capitalize on the money idea, and it seems really cool. It's a really good recovery. Launch campaigns do trash themselves. That's actually a big problem with this idea, is like, oh, well, if they don't trash my assets, hopefully you win anyways. But what do I do? And then, you get in a cool spot. So that's what we're trying to do, and this is where we made a Wayland list. And you see it, I don't know if you saw it in my Netrunner DB, but I have a couple iterations because I couldn't figure it out. I started with, I'll show you what the list looks like. If you're streaming Ocarina, it's nice to know we'll have someone with a command of Ad Blitz combo, because it might actually be a force of this tournament. Hell yeah! I've trained this whole week, don't worry. Last time I played Gagarin, I got hit with mining accidents. Feel bad. Yeah, that happened actually as well during the tournament. Did this fall down when you realize most ads aren't so great? Yeah. All right, so this is a list. We played 8 agendas because we need to. We played standard, unimaginative, Wayland, Ice. I didn't want to play pop-up window because that wasn't going to get trashed ever. It didn't make a lot of sense. But then we played some cool things. We had Commercial Bankers Group, which this is actually something we'd probably cut. Then we had CSR campaigns. This seems really good. The fact that you can bring a CSR campaign back, which snowballs even further, seemed really strong. I wanted to play more of these. On top of that, we have daily business shows, drudge work. We have our stock exchange. We have launch campaign, which I decided originally we had Maryland's in this deck, but I decided to cut them for launch campaigns because launch campaigns trash themselves into the archives, and that's what you want for Ad Blitz. We have Malia Zoloka because we've been having fun with that on this channel, and because why not? Mamba Temple, this is actually a really big part of the combo as well. It's a neutral card, it's not an ad, but it lets you res all the stuff that you play with Ad Blitz, because Ad Blitz forces you to res those cards as well. Unfortunately, pad campaigns got cut from the deck because not a lot of people trashed them. That's a bit of a disappointment. But we got 2 Nasex for the combo. We have Rashida Yahim because you need to. And then we started playing bad cards. We started playing really bad cards, my friends. A 0-cost advertisement is really appealing that's out of faction for this deck because you res it for value with CSR campaign. Is this card terrible? No. Is it worse than pad campaign? Probably. Has anyone seen this? No. So we tried it. And let me tell you, if they don't run, it's shit. And they're not going to run because he has so much money. And then finally you have Wall to Wall, which is arguably the best advertisement that you can play in this deck. But it's unique, so I didn't know how many to play. It's also technically not out of faction, so you don't get Indian Union bucks. But if you add Blitz a Wall to Wall, you're fine. And then we had to figure out how to win the game. And this is a cool thing about Indian Union Stock Exchange. All the cards we're playing here, besides Consulting Visit and Boom, are technically out of faction. So we have 2 ad blitz. We have a Boom because we could win the game with hard-hitting news. Our opponent really needs to fuck this up for that to happen, I think. We have 2 closed accounts because I want to win on C-Source closed accounts. I did play 2 hard-hitting newses instead, which I think is wrong because I think if they sit back, C-Source is better than hard-hitting news because they can always clear 8 tags. And we got 2 preemptive, which is, it's technically value if you Indian Union Stock Exchange. So that's the deck. It's 54 cards, which is wrong. I think you can definitely get this down to few cards, but the problem was the more cards I was cutting, the further it got away from the cool thing we were trying to do. Like, what do I cut here? I cut the tiered subscriptions, and then what do I cut? I cut the Malia, and then what do I cut? I probably cut the whole ad blitz, and then we're playing like just good stuff Gagarin, and this was such a struggle to try and figure out to make something compelling, and I spent a fair bit of time trying to do this, and the deck is pretty bad. We're gonna watch the tape. Now, I want to talk about the runner I played too, because this also kind of just shows how I think about the modern meta right now, for better or worse. My main goal, and I think a lot of this, it comes back to the same idea I was talking about, how we want to make content, is we had to play a runner that ran currents. Because Shapers don't really, Anarchs, you kind of have to force yourself to play Hacktivists, but if you're not playing Currents and somebody plays Scarcity in the early game, it's not going to be a very interesting game. And so when it came to playing Currents, I basically had to play Criminal, and at that point it was either playing, like, I didn't have a lot of options, so I just net decked Procomises, and it's very similar to the deck that we played before. It's an Anacam Stargate 419. It's consistent, it's good, it has ways to win against other things, but like at the end of the day, I feel really boxed into having to play somebody with a current, and right now the only faction that has a good current is Criminal. So we played Criminal, and that's a bummer right now. I know that's something Nisei is working on, but that's what we ended up with. We are playing this 419 list, which is just good stuff. It's very similar to a list we played on the channel before, and this surprisingly bad, but hopefully noble Ad Blitz Gagarin. All right, System Seizure, it's not a good card. It's like not great. It's a card you can play, but like I'd rather probably play Interdiction over System Seizure, depending on the thing. Hacktivist is okay. Hacktivist is okay, but like, I don't know. Verbose, what's up? Even as a corp, I won't play my current except to turn off a current. Yeah. Well, no, if it's Scarcity and they're not Criminal, I'll fucking slam that shit down immediately. You caught Malia? No, I didn't. No wonder you're too ashamed to publish it. No, I didn't. But that's the point. It's like how to get this deck down to 49. It was like cut Malia, so we played 54. And that's all we do. Hey, Andre, is this the Gargagarin you played in the GNK? Yeah, exactly. And so on. We're talking about the GNK. We're actually going to watch the footage in a second. I'm going to pull it up. I just want to catch up on chat. I think we should be on CU, then opt the double tags that you can boom uninteractively. You can't do that, though, because the operation is a double. So you can't actually do the double to boom. I was thinking of that operation, and I was also thinking about CU, but CU's influence, that influence comes basically out of either DBS or some of our ads. And that's the problem. Like, the more we put good cards into it, the closer you get to false lead boom. And let me tell you, if we play false lead boom, oh, it would have been so good. Lol, just biotic, of course. Anarch suffers from having too many good cards. That's another thing, is I tried to build before, and I didn't have enough time to do this. I was actually building a deck list I wanted to play, and I'm glad Roberto did it instead. I wanted to play Alice, because we had a lot of fun on this channel playing a resource heavy Alice Merchant a couple weeks ago. But the issue is we weren't going to play resources only because the whole scarcity thing we just talked about. So I was building an Alice deck. I looked at a deck that was published from Toronto a year or two ago, which was really cool. And it was like a DDoS kind of en passant deck, which archives pressure, Stargate, just a hippo, good stuff. And then I tried to rebuild it, and then I ended up putting in like all the basic stuff, and the package of economy now, as opposed to a year ago, got so much more bloated in terms of cards. Like I added Keiko, and then because of Keiko, I needed a Taka, a Puemu, and maybe Miami, and that's so many card slots. And so I ended up being like, okay, well, I guess I'll cut the Bagat. I guess I'll cut the Immolation Scripts. And it was like, oh, well, I guess I have to cut the what, like all the fun things like the Wantons. I'm like, no, I'm playing Wanton, and I just couldn't figure out a deck list soon enough, so I just played 419. Go and tell Perkamas he gave him a shout out. Yo, Perkamas gets a lot of shout outs. Perkamas makes some good stuff. I'll admit I run Scarcity, but I feel guilty about it. I've been granted one too many times. Yeah, no, Scarcity's good. Wait, what? Wait, what? Isn't... Oh no, wait, what? Immolation Script. Yeah, I caught it. We're looping? Wait, what? I'm gonna pause, because I'm worried. Oh, that's Immolation Script love. Yo, Immolation Script's a really good card, especially in Alice, especially with Hippo. Like, you can start targeting stuff. Okay. Cody says death occurrence. Yeah, I feel like we're coming up on that really soon. We'll figure it out. Anyways, so without any whatever the expression is, I want to show you the videos and we can talk on top of it. These obviously are not edited, and I think we can put I don't know if we're gonna put the audio up. We're gonna play them at hyper speed, but this is a way to like basically use the content without having to throw it in the garbage. And I'll show you the games. And the problem is like the games aren't particularly great. I'm gonna be reading chat. So obviously, like we do, so like don't hesitate to ask questions. That was me. I look pretty similar to what I did 2 days ago. That shouldn't be a surprise. How do you speed up VLC? Video. He talks so much. Why won't this guy shut up? Video speed. It's like the rabbit. Speed. Yeah, faster. Fine. What's the shortcut? Is it L? It's usually L. No, that's a loop. Uh-oh. Playback speed faster. All right, we'll run at whatever speed we think is good. Does anybody know the shortcut for the speed jump? Why do you want the internet VLC? Okay, we're off to the races. I reloaded, I think I've been my internet. Okay, I watch your videos on 1.5x. I don't understand Chenchling. If you do that, how you can understand me. Okay, so we're playing against Lila. Another big thing about this tournament, I think we played against 2 Lilas in 3 rounds. And the day before this, or 2 days before, I think we played 4 Lilas in 5 rounds. I played too much Lila. You plus or minus. Greyest Wolf, yo, what up? Is that actually... Oh, fantastic. Wait, no, that didn't work. It won't go up. Plus, am I hitting equals? Why won't it go... Oh, maybe it's because I'm paused. No? Okay. All right, so this is the game. We're playing against Lila. Lila gets a really good setup. This is John, metamate, really nice dude. He starts up with 2 Rizekis. That's a pretty good start. We jam some early assets, commercial bankers group, good stuff. And I think we also get like a, what's it called? Rashida, which is good stuff. I think we're just gonna keep this at 1.5 and then we'll just start from there. I don't know if we're actually changing speed. Yeah, that looks fast. Okay, so we're off to the races. We have an ad blitz deck. I'm talking about the ad blitz. And we start jamming the remotes. I think John actually has a really good startup. I feel like I'm going to try and talk really fast to keep up with this. But 2 Rizekis is really good. Playing Falsified on an asset, that's actually really big money credit boost, just because they need to go really fast here to be able to keep up. Early pad tap, we get everything we really want at this point. We have a Mamba Temple, we have a daily business show. John goes in to trash the commercials banker group. That's a pretty good thing we want to do. Our early SDS drone deployment looks a lot worse when they have Rizekis in the early game. And I accidentally res a launch campaign. I don't actually want to res it here, so I clumsily de-res it. This will get edited out of a video in theory, but I don't want to res it right now because they have pad tap and it doesn't get us any value. Now here's an issue. I draw ad blitz on top of a C-source, and obviously the ad blitz is kind of useless for into the mid game until they start trashing your stuff. So we throw that away, but at least now we have C-source. I think we get an Nasex on the table, and the big thing here is just to push out enough stuff that John starts accessing with not a lot of credits. Once they have not a lot of credits, we can do C-source into closed accounts, into hard-hitting news, but a lot of that is dependent on us drawing well into our consulting visits and stuff like that. John's trashing the what's it called, the temple, so we get a free res on the Nasex. That's pretty good stuff. And John just accessed with 1 credit. And this is such a big deal, right? Like, we have C-source into closed accounts, which isn't particularly strong right here when John only has 1 credits. But this point is such a liability. If we had hard-hitting news here, John would have lost the game. And I drew up. I think there's a chance that you want to risk it at the early game, but we've had Daily Business Show fighting for a couple turns. I think we had a Rashida. The chance of John getting punished there is pretty high. Unfortunately, we don't have a 49 card deck, so this is a bit unusual. It's not the most consistent. We got a boomerang into HQ pressure. We have a border control in HQ, so we can pop it if we want to. We're actually just gonna, I think, res some stuff, or let this go through. I forget what we would decide here. I think we just res some stuff to duck most of it. We also res the Mali as a Loca, which blanks Class Act, which is just good enough. If you want to go trash it, it's like 4 credits on top of the tax, and all these things fire. And then it kind of just goes on like this. Like, John doesn't develop a lot of money. We get our amazing tiered subscription. I'm really excited about it. And we kind of just keep rolling, but it's not a lot going on here. Basically, all we're trying to do is generate more money than John and then draw into hard-hitting news. It's like a pretty one-dimensional strat right now. On top of that, we just put another ice on HQ, which is good. It kind of strands the boomerang. It's also an Afshar, which is one of the best ices on HQ. R&D interface comes down, and that's such an expensive install. I think John gets a good Lila bounce here if he does access, but again, hard-hitting news is such a big deal. Throwing out a Rizeki 2, trashing it to steal the SDS drone deployment, and going to get bounced whatever we put in server 9, which is actually just a Mamba temple. We could have pre-res that if we wanted to, but then they would have bounced the Afshar, which is actually probably a bit worse for us. Accessing again, John ending his turn with 3 credits. We're gonna get a fair few credits here, right? Like, we got a credit from our tiered subscription, NASEX launch campaign, it all fires, and we just drew into into counter surveillance. Shit, that's not even consulting visit, which means we can now hard-hitting news. All we have to do is play it, and then John is going to start. I'm looking up hard-hitting news because I can't remember how many tags are the trace. This is fine, that gets edited out. And then we consulting visit here for the trace 4. We don't even have to boost it, and now John is forked. I think paying 4 credits and accessing R&D while you don't have more than 8 credits against hard-hitting news, let alone a deck you might expect economic warfare against, is probably not correct. And that's basically the game. We have boom in hand. If John John had an out there. We ended our turn. It was actually kind of interesting. We ended our turn on 1 credit. So if John didn't run that turn, we wouldn't have got tiered subscription money. And if John didn't give us tiered subscription money, we wouldn't have been able to get tiered subscription plus NASEX, click for a credit, and boom. So the 1 credit in this matchup really mattered, but John ran. John put himself in a situation where you could get hard-hitting news, and that's largely it. And not much of a game there. We built assets. We didn't fire ad blitz. We just played a worse Gagarin, and I think John didn't respect the hard-hitting news, and that's that. So that's game 1. Game 2 is Blue Sun, and this is a lot more interesting. So we're playing 419 good stuff. I think one of the biggest things against Blue Sun is, well, there's 2 big things. Firstly, you need to figure out what kind of deck, what kind of punishment they're playing. It's, I would say, 80% punitive Counter-Strike at this modernly and 20% hard-hitting news. Maybe they can even play both. Another really important thing you can do in the early game is be able to threaten an early oversighted AI ice, and it's usually Chiashi or Orion. And there you get turn 1, John gets up the Orion. Now, the big thing that I'm noticing in so many of the matchups that we played on Tuesday is Boomerang struggles against a lot of the Wayland bigger ice, because so much of the bigger Wayland ice has more than 2 subroutines. So you can't use Boomerang to break Orion. You can get through it in the early game, but you can't de-res it. So right now we decided just to get money and set up. And let that one go as we have to. Now we're playing a rogue trading deck, so the idea is to play rogue trading and Citadel Sanctuary, and that also gets a bit tricky when Blue Sun has 19 credits, because now they have more money than you, and they can actually afford to boost into the Citadel Sanctuary trace and end you with a tag. Now the tag is not that bad. If they spend a lot of money into that, it's probably not great for them because they can't bounce back if their ice is not res, and then they have a lot of liability ice. We get something here on HQ. I'm assuming this is Crisium. Crisium is super good against in Blue Sun because you can move it around. But actually it's exposed and it turns out to be a Kayambe grid. And Kayambe grid, this by the way I think is the most interesting game by far that we recorded. Kayambe grid is interesting in Blue Sun because as soon as you put advancements on a piece of ice, it means you largely don't want to bounce it. And I don't like that interaction with Blue Sun. I think in Blue Sun it's not great to be able to bounce your ice over and over again, right? Like it's click intensive and it's not very good when you're trying to win the game. So maybe it's not the biggest issue. Here we face checked into R&D just to force John to spend the 15 credits for the Orion that largely just ends the run. It was kind of a guess whether or not that was the Orion. I think we goofed it there. We did have Hernando Cortez in hand, and Hernando is so good against Blue Sun. So we could have robbed a bit more money out of John, but now that 1 ice is res, I want to poke up more ice. They had less than the credits they need to res Chiashi, so we're good to face check into things. It isn't an Afshar. We got value back a bit from our what's it called, Bravado, but now John is spending clicks just bouncing Orion and Ryan over and over again, which is really good for us. John not resing the Kayambe grid, putting advancement counters on the Afshar doesn't really matter for the strength of Afshar, but it is good. We're going to make him also expose on every install and paying a credit to prevent it from being exposed. So now we're at 14 credits. So now we can do the rogue trading. We're up at 18. So in theory, we could end. I don't actually think we can end up with a tag. And we're just going to sit back and basically do the rogue trading. And once we have enough money, All we need is breakers, and we're probably set up. And then once we can start pressuring HQ centrals, we're in a good spot. A really big problem with these Blue Sun decks, and now the Kayambe is res, so HQ is getting a bit difficult, but a very big problem with a lot of these decks is that once you run the remote in a turn, they end up spending all their money playing their big ice in the remote, and then you can generally swing onto centrals. So that's generally our strategy here, is to set up our Stargate, and then pressure the remote, slam down our Stargate, and then close the game off. Blue Sun installs in a remote. I think they expose it, and it's another Kayambe, so we're going to have an issue if we can't shut this down early. Class Act draws here. We either get Diversion or Boomerang, and the Diversion's pretty bad because we can't really get in. In theory, we could do Boomerang into Diversion. We don't really need the money. We're sitting on 2 ticks of Rogue Trading, and we then don't trash the Kayambe grid but pay extra. So I'm just Boomeranging, running this remote, hoping that we can get in and trash the Kayambe before it gets any value. Now, if this is an Orion, it's really good because we can get through the 2 subroutines that matter. So we're approaching the Kayambe, and then this happens, which is the 4 Macari combo. I think you all might have seen that if you watched this channel before. The idea is that Forma Carry, with Kayambe Grid, it's so strong. And it didn't fire here. The idea is that with Kayambe Grid, you pay the 8 credits, and then before you access, they res Forma Carry, and then you have to pay another 8 credits again. And you end up paying so much money. But they just res the Forma Carry and moved it onto server 1. So we had to either take 2 net damage or run the run. The problem is if we took the 2 net damage, we would lose our nanotech. Or sorry, not our nanotech, our Bagalter, but I decided keeping the Bagalter is good when we know there's a Forma Carry on the table, so that Kayambe Grid is going to start rolling. We also can now probably guess that the ice on server 1 is actually the Orion, and probably a Forma Carry back on R&D. I think this is the big selling point when it comes to Blue Sun. Why Blue Sun is good at doing advanceable Kayambe Grid is because they can recycle the Forma Carry combo over and over again with little cost. And the Forma Carry combo is really, really good in the mid to late game where you're actually paying a lot of money to get into server 1. And having the ability to reset that is kind of strong. And we also now know if we run HQ, we have to get through the Afshar, and then they would pull out the Forma Carry. You would also die to Neural, yeah, technically. And that's actually, like, that's something that mattered because the deck list of the week a week ago was Rotage's Piper deck. And I originally started playing this deck thinking that was this deck. That's just generally one of the things you do to be like, okay, that was a popular deck, so we're going to play against that, I guess. But then they res Kayambe Grid, so we decided it wasn't Rotage's deck. Blue Sun has been playing Neural fairly lately, thanks Rotage, yeah, exactly. So now we know a couple things. We know that we have to deal with Forma Carry. They start advancing in a remote. I'm scared of installing a breaker here too and losing it to SDS. It's not a face-up ice. It easily could be NGO as well, and we're just trying to draw and find our breakers. We drew a special order. Again, special ordering and installing our corroder or whatever it is last click to hit an SDS is pretty bad. Right now they only had 12 credits, which means we have Hernando down, which is doing pretty good work. They can't res Orion. If they advance the Orion with the Kayambe Grid, now it's actually in, 6 credits or whatever. So we're going to Bravado and force them to res, because I don't think there's a lot they can res here. If they res the Forma Carry, it's okay. Like, they end up resing the Forma Carry for 3 credits, so we can always take the damage to go through it if we really wanted to. But I like forking them here, just because it's really awkward for them to, like, bounce and score, and I don't know, it makes them do things, which is great. So that's a Surveyor. They spent 7 for that Surveyor, which is a great win for us. It has Trace 3s, or Trace 4s, but we have 1 link. So I've decided at this point, we've made them spend enough money. I don't think we boost into this Trace here because they can bring the Forma Carry in. We then also have to spend another 4 credits and trash the Kayambe Grid. I probably in retrospect should have gone through there just because Kayambe Grid is such an issue with the Forma Carry setup, and if we shut that down early, but now that they've spent money resing the remote, we can get a single access on R&D, and we get single access, it's a hedge fund. So it's a good thing for them to draw here, not the agenda we were looking for. Also, we're playing against SDS drone deployment. This deck does have multiple copies of programs, so it might have been good to just throw down the nanotech to get our single access, but again, it's weak to SDS in the remote. But accessing without a program installed is a bit of a bummer sometimes against Wayland decks. Now, John not bouncing. Oh, yeah, not bouncing. We're going to spend some time. He accidentally advanced the wrong piece of ice. You definitely want to advance the Surveyor just so that there's 2 ice. Can you do 1x speed? We probably can't do 1x just because it's 10:30 right now, and we have to get through hopefully 3 rounds by the end. So 1x speed probably is going to happen. We just won't get through it enough. I'm sorry. I know it's going really fast, but the thing is, like, I don't know, this game by far is the most interesting, especially that was a reversed accounts. And so that's what we weren't playing around that. I think that's really terrifying. What does that tell you around the deck? I think it was, Yeah, oh no is right. I think that tells that they're on dedication ceremony, which largely means that they're on CityWorks project as well. It also does suggest less punitive, but more hard-hitting news or C-source. So it's really scary. We ended up losing like 16 credits to that, which is huge. We still have the credit lead. We did finish up our rogue trading, and they're still only on 3 credits. And now this is where it gets really awkward. We knew they drew a hedge fund. They didn't, but here they could bounce their Kayambe grid. They did. So now they can play the hedge fund from hand, which is really nice. But like, it's really bad for them to bounce the Surveyor Afshar because they lose all the advancements. And it's not like they matter that much, but it just kind of feels like a bummer. They also then have to re-res them, which is difficult with Hernando Cortez. So we slowed them down a fair bit. I was joking on your talking speed. So they put the Kayambe grid back. They triple ice it, so that Surveyor got a bit stronger. So I think the only way we deal with the Surveyor very elegantly is with Boomerang. We drew with Class Act, and their options, if I'm not mistaken, were Amakua and Amina. And the Amina is definitely okay. So far, we only see 1 code gate, but the Amakua looks really hot right here, where they're kind of low on money. And we know if we get this up to like 2 strength, we can probably get through the Forma carry on R&D, and we can threaten the Afshar. So I just want to fork them, where server 1 here, if they want to jam, like they're on 4 credits once they res the Kayambe, and it's between that or icing up archives. So I like this fork a lot. This fork is also pretty cool because a lot of their ice is hard for them to res at this point. Like they're probably running a couple Orions, a couple Chiashis, and if they don't get the support of building blocks or overstate AI, it's hard for them to put that on archives. So there's the CityWorks project as we predicted. Now imagine they dedicate it, and there you go. So now it has 4 advancements on it. So we have to take 6 damage, let alone get through all that ice. So that agenda seems pretty safe. So this is a point in the game where we probably set kind of just like fork them. And if they want to score that, at least we're going to get free Amakua counters and maybe access R&D. So we look up what Forma carry says, find out the strength, we install Turning Wheel, Dirty Laundry, and then we just get into R&D and start seeing cards off the top. We got a CityWorks project off the top. Really good hit. Don't have to take any damage. We're not that weak to double. They need to double hit us with punitive counter strikes. But even on top of that, we do have Citadel Sanctuary. So we're in a good spot, and they don't have a lot of money. Called it perfectly. It's almost like you've seen this game before. I called it while we were commentating, though. To some extent. We also have Corporate Grant down. That's really important, which is good. We've had it for a couple turns, and it forks them to score this agenda, which is such a big deal because we now have another Corporate Grant in hand. And this is the power of Amakua 419 Corporate Grant. Like now they're in such a hole. And if they really want to, they can bounce their ice and kind of dig up about this. But now we have Patap and Corporate Grant. So every turn, we're going to basically be like robbing them a credit, trying to install something cheap, getting that free run with Amakua because they can't really res. We saw Border Control. It's a good run. And we're going to build up the Turning Wheel counters. So now they are locked. And they really need to bounce something to be able to like hedge fund or IPO out of it. With 1 credit, they can't really score. They're probably not running Currents. It can be hard sometimes in Wayland. I think you can play Scarcity, but they're just clicking up for 3 credits. And we just drew another pad tap. So there you go. Install. They lose 1. We run R&D. If they want to res their Forma carry, they're down. And they just drew a Chiashi, which is an issue. We do have AI, and we don't want to mill our stack too much because we still need to find some of our breakers. But why am I running Archives? I should have ran R&D. We got a Turning Wheel. I don't know what that's about. So Amakua is up to 5. We have to get it up to 8 to be able to deal. And John just purges. I'm not a big fan of purging while centrals are open because right now we can just run Archives, run R&D. In fact, we don't even need to run Archives. Like we just have a Bagalter. Like we could get through this for free anyways. I don't know why we were worried about the Amakua strengths running Archives a couple turns before. It's starting to get light here. Cat, not like this. Oh no. Yeah, I guess the summer, huh? So there we go, building up the Turning Wheel. We didn't do an install this turn with Corporate Grant, which is a bit of a bummer, I don't think, but we just want to keep them down. And it's really hard to dig up from this spot. 3 hedge funds are out, reversed accounts is out, and John can maybe consider jamming at the remote, but if John can't afford to res anything, we can still boomerang through that Surveyor and get going. Now we know there's probably Orion, the thing with the 5 strength, 5 advancements on it. It's either Orion or I think what's it called with Miss Fingo would be a really big problem. Orion, they also res for free, which is an issue, and it will trash a program. So we need to get up to 8 strength or have enough money to use our Bagalter, and we're not on a lot of money here. It's really awkward here because we drew Stargate, so we want to credit Gamble to play the Stargate. I don't think we can do it this turn, and we just want to keep locking the top of the deck. So we basically credited, drew, played Gamble, and ran. We see a Gatekeeper. A pretty good ice. Once we face check it though, Amakua eats it pretty well, and we did not install the Corporate Grant, which is a bit of a bummer. So John, again, on 6 credits, technically all he needs to jam, and jam he is, because that remote server is actually really good. I totally forgot. There's still Kayambe in there. So to access, we need to pay 6 credits, plus another 6 credits when they res the Forma carry. So you know how this is. 4 a.m. always feels worse when the sun is coming up. Oh no. Oh, check this out. We Stargate, and I've never seen this before playing Netrunner. So John jams what I believe is an SSL in the remote. He didn't prevent expose, and we Stargate, and we see hostile takeover, SSL endorsement, and CityWorks project. That's my face right now, which kind of makes sense. I've never seen that playing Netrunner to date, where you Stargate and see 3 agendas. So that's a good game. John actually could have crawled out of this. Like, we know that they're on hostile. They obviously drew it. They could have had one in hand, and we were doing a really bad job pressuring HQ. But this SSL was going to go through, and then next turn, John could have scored the hostile and won. So we really need to hit that there. Obviously, John could res the former carry. It doesn't matter. We have 5 credits, and we basically just run, and win the game. So that puts us on 2-0 going into this game. I think this game was by far the most interesting. The former carry had some cool interactions, but that is round 1 in a shell. New Twitch emoji. Yeah, right? Skiffin, how's it going? It's a shame you won't go affiliate because your expression there would be a great emote. Yeah. Now you get 3 credits, can play 3 advanced encounters. Someone shared on the hashtag out of context JNet Slack channel Stargate that hit 3 Nisei Mark II. Ooh, that's some good stuff. That means they can't Nisei you stealing it. That's round 1. This did exactly what it wanted to do. The Hernando was good. The Econ Denial was good. It does the 419 corporate grant stuff. I think, I feel if John sat back and set up in the other game, we're in such a bad spot because we can't score out. Like, it was his game to win, I think, if they just sat back. Because then we have to start scoring agendas if you don't run, and it's a bit difficult. So that's round 1. All right, round 2. Round 2. We're against Frank, and we're playing the outfit. I'm just gonna get this up to speed again. Audio, no, playback speed. Faster. Speed, faster. All right, so we're playing against the outfit. So the outfit, first, whenever they gain bad publicity or give a bad publicity, they gain 3 credits. And so a big thing about this, I've been playing against so much outfit recently. Marc-Andre in our meta plays it. I think they've been playing it every GNK for the last whole GNK cycle. It's a big thing you can tell about this deck is what is their agenda, their ice suite going to be, and their ice suite is so brutally strong. Here in the early game, we get a corporate grant down and the rogue trading. Unfortunately, they just jam out a hostile, which clears the current and gives them money, which is a problem for the same thing with rogue trading. We're playing Bachlan. Yeah, it's 2-pair high Bachlan. So that's a big problem with this deck is we know they're going to be running. What's the name of that ice? I never remember the name of. I struggled with it the whole time here. It's the 10 to res, 8 strength, 3 subroutine, AI hate, Whalen bad publicity ice. Because so much of this game we have to play around that ice, and so much of this game we also now have to play around Archer and also Trebuchet, and that's a really big issue for Criminal. And I think the biggest issue we have, Bulwark, thank you. The very big issue right now is we have to play around Bulwark, which is only bad once you install a program, and we also have to play around all the other big stuff. And the problem is none of this stuff really gets dealt well with Boomerang. Here we play Corporate Grant, Amakua, Patap, hoping this is not an Atlas, because a blank Atlas, that doesn't really happen, but it is a blank Atlas. So we just threw 2 corporate grants down the drain, which is a real bummer because this deck needs some good money to res their ice. Once they can res their ice, they get the money back. So now we have Amakua. We're just going to run archives, get some counters up, because right now we're hoping we can get Amakua up to 8 strength, which is really hard without hitting a Bulwark. Another big card we have is Bachlan Botchkin. Once Botchkin is up to 8 strength, the D-reses get pretty good. If we hit a Bulwark or Trebuchet, we can just D-res it. And so that's really important. Because right now, face checking and losing an Amakua to a Bulwark or a Trebuchet or an Archer is so bad for us. Frank goes and double ices R&D. I usually see that on HQ. I think that's just kind of Stargate fear. And right now we have Gamble into Citadel. I choose not to play Gamble because then we can do Citadel instead and Rogue Trading, which is really good. You need to make sure that you can do Rogue Trading with Citadel Sanctuary when you have more money than the Corp, or at least where them boosting into is not an issue. So I wanted to do that faster before they played a too big to fail. This deck is actually really good against boosting into what's it called, into Citadel Sanctuary, because they can boost fully into it and then recover with a too big to fail. Right now, there you go. I'm looking into Bulwark because I don't remember the name of it, and I'm definitely going to forget the name of it in a second, which is a problem. So they're setting up for remote. They're on 3 points, which is really scary because if they jam a 5-3, they're 1 hostile away from winning, and there's definitely 3 hostiles in their deck. So we're just trying to build up our Amakua while building board state. We aren't showing any breakers besides Amakua, and Boomerang does not cut it in this matchup because you can't Boomerang a Bulwark without losing without trashing a program. Now, the cool thing about that subroutine is it says the runner trashes a program, so it's actually the runner's choice. So if we draw into a second Amakua, which is something I think we do in this matchup, but we don't take it, there's some really good value into that, because then you can actually boomerang through a single bulwark, as not great as that sounds. That can stop you from losing the game a lot of times. All right, so we're drawn up. We're getting the boomerang down, boomerang HQ. That's just some safety in case we do hit something that trashes a program and we get the Bachland down and we want to bravado in. It's been a couple turns. They haven't scored out. There might be something on HQ. We want to hit those CityWorks projects while they're still in hand. It's a mouseless. Yo, mouseless is really good for us, right? Like we could fire the credit to get a pad tap credit, and boomerang lines up so well. We could also just break with Amakua because the tag we clear for free. So we actually save one subroutine on this because we clicklessly remove the tag, which is great. So it's a pretty good res for us. Sleeping, have fun for the rest of the stream. Jessica, get some good sleep. Thanks for dropping by. All right, so we get a single access. I don't know what we access. I missed the chat log, but probably nothing too good. And we still have the boomerang up on there, and they purged. And it's good to keep the boomerang because we can still get in there. We're drawing into a diversion and a Stargate. The diversion here sounds okay because we can just boomerang through it, take a free tag, and get that credit swing going. We really are counting on our Amakua here because we don't have access to any other breakers, and they very smartly iced up everything. So at least here, maybe if we make them go down to 4 credits, we can start poking up archives to get those some counters. But unfortunately, we don't have any turn left because it's a double. All right, I think things are chugging along. We're basically hoping that if they jam into the remote, they won't have enough money to protect from Stargate. We also can start pressuring Stargate because they don't have a lot of money. I think Too Big to Fail will be a huge draw for them, and they haven't seen any yet, and I'm assuming that's a 3 of this deck. They do Credit Hedge Fund. They're back in it, back in the green. Pat Tap's been firing off pretty consistently. I don't think they've cared to trash it. It's been on since like turn 2. So our money's pretty good, and we still have 12 credits on Rogue Trading. Double Ice HQ, that cost them some good money. They spent 2 for that. So here we go. Just like we said, we're going to run archives, try and force them to res, probably see like a border control, something cheap here, a Hortum, another mouseless. And it is a border control. You'll love to see that on archives. Once we get our Amaku up to 1, we can deal with that pretty cheaply. And now they're on 4 credits. We drop the Stargate and run. The only things that stop us here are Hortum and mouseless. One of them doesn't even stop us. So I think Hortum's best case scenario when they're on 4. And there you go, is a Hortum. We let it fire. We got a credit back on the pad tap already on the border control, which is pretty good for us. And now our Bachland Botchkin's up to 4 counters. So at any point now, we could de-res the Hortum and go in, or we could keep Bachland up to 5 or 8 to make sure that we can de-res a Trebuchet or a Bulwark when we hit it. All right, they're on 3 credits. It's a really good time for us to capitalize, but we just can't deal with the Hortum. If we just pull down a Mina, we'd be able to lock them. So instead, we're just going to run server 2 because they can't afford to res that server just to get Amakua counters. Again, if you're accessing nothing, as long as you're hitting the access step, you're in a pretty good place to get Amakua counters. So we're just going to try to get some more counters. All right, they do Credit Hedge Fund. Our pad tap fires. They're up on 9. Still poking this remote. With 9 credits, they're still not resing. They're 1 credit short of Bulwark, which would be annoying if they hit us, but we're pretty safe here. We're getting up our Amakua up to 4. And here, what can we do? We could play Gamble. We could play Pad Tap. Guess we're playing the Pad Tap. It's fine. It lets us hit Hortum and Mouseless a lot easier. And then we get 2 credits if we don't break the subroutine, which is nicer than their 1 credit. So stacking Pad Taps is actually okay, even though they played a lot of their transactions already. All right, card on server 2, installed. They're prevented from being exposed, and that's it. So right now I'm thinking this is either Rashida or another Atlas. They score another Atlas, it's pretty scary. Here I'm looking at Bulwark because I don't remember the text, and that's a big deal because we're not at 8 strength, and they have exactly 10 credits. We've lost 2 corporate grants early, but this would be really good to get a corporate grant down. So now I'm trying to expose what this ice is. So it's either the innermost or the outermost that we're scared of. We expose that there's a border control in the outermost, so now we have to hope that, sorry, in the innermost, we know that this one here is a border control. I don't know if you see my mouse. So now we're running it hoping that the outermost is not a Bulwark, and it is a Bulwark, which is a big issue, and now we have to decide what to trash. And in retrospect, I might have picked the wrong option here. It's our choice. I chose to trash the Stargate as opposed to the Amakua, and I don't know if that's correct. They've iced up all their central servers, and I don't think we can rely on the Amakua. A lot of their strength at ice is really high strength. We have the Amina in hand too, so like, I don't even know what I did here. Like here, I got really upset at myself because I installed the Amina and ran R&D, but we already had an Amakua with 5 counters on it. Like this was nonsense. We just threw 7 credits away. Sure, we could spend 4 to make him lose 1, but that's pretty bad. So I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm using the Mina here, right, too. I'm like, wait, what am I... I don't know what happened. So I feel like we should have definitely got rid of the Amakua, because then we still had a Mina Stargate, and we still had like other ways to hopefully find our breakers. And this is not a game that we could rely on Amakua, so I'm not a big fan of that. Whoa, Doppelganger. Yo, what up, Timmy? Yeah. That's past me. He had different problems. All right. So we're in. I'm still trying to break it with Amina for some reason. I think I realized, like, what am I doing? Oh my god, I had Amakua, what's going on? And then we get the single accents with Bachlan Botchkin. We already gained Pat-Tab money off of hitting the ability on Bulwark. It has a 2 credit gain, so it's pretty good. Don't worry too much. We all get flatulence of the mind. Yeah, it happens. And we trashed reversed accounts, which is good. That's the second one we've seen today. We trashed that, that's good. That also means they're in dedication ceremony, which means they're on CityWorks project. No surprises here. And we're off. That's a Rashida. They're back up to 10 credits. And now we know this remote is really hard to deal with. It's a Bulwark into border control. So even if we like Bachlan Botchkin de-res the Bulwark, they'll have the ability to res it on the second run. Sure, it'll give them a bad publicity. They end up only resing it for like 5 credits. That's another big reason why maybe trashing the Amakua is right, because Bulwark gains 2 credits whenever we hit it with Amakua. If there's an AI installed, which Amakua is. Now, it's not the worst for us, because every time we hit it with pad taps, we get 2 credits back, or at least the first time a turn. So with pad tap and like our ability, you know, it might be okay. And here they have the window. Install Advanced CityWorks project. So now if we hit this, we have to take 4 meat damage. We know that we have to get through Bulwark into border control. We have full what's it called? Yo, what up, nutritional? We have full information, and we got to sort it out this turn. This turn, I try and plan it out. I know that we can get a counter running archives probably. We know we can probably get a counter running R&D. We also get Bachlan counters. And we have Deuce's Wild, which will make us run and get a counter at the same time, which is really important. So we expose the outermost ice. We know this is a data loop on R&D, which is a pretty rough res right here. And then we get a single access here. We're hoping not to steal an agenda just so we can get another Amakua counter, because now we'll be on 7. You can tell past Andre one thing, what would it be? I feel like in this matchup, we needed to draw into our breakers a bit more. So many of the criminal decks are running fewer special orders, and I feel like we definitely should have trashed the Amakua, but if we trashed the Amakua, they could have jammed out right here. So now we're thinking, Amakua is at 7 strength. We can get up to 8 strength by running archives, HQ, R&D, anything like that. Once it's at 8 strength, we can deal with Bulwark, and then we have to run it twice. Now, another big issue is as soon as we steal this, what's it called, the CityWorks project, we have to worry about punitive Counter-Strike. So we're running R&D again. They could res this, the data ward. I don't know why we're running R&D. We probably should run HQ actually. I don't know why we're running R&D, because they could res the data ward, and the data ward actually kind of matters here because it makes us put 2 cards on top of our deck, which makes CityWorks project a bunch harder to steal. I feel like this is wrong. I think we should run HQ. My message to the past here would be use that falsified before running the possible Bulwark. You can't falsified ice, and we can't falsify to res the card, so there's no way to falsified. Oh, you mean falsified, like to figure out what's in the remote? Yeah, that was definitely a legitimate play. All right, so we're through. We put 2 cards on top of our deck. The way I see it is we're putting cards on top of the deck that we're going to save so we don't take the damage. But right now we need to take 4 damage from this card to steal this card. Now, I am very smart, and I realize that we have Citadel Sanctuary, which lets us prevent all meat damage. So I don't think I care about how many cards I have in my hand, because we can steal the CityWorks project. We have a lot of money too, so we're safe against punitive. And then we access the top card of R&D. And it's a too big to fail, which is the best card they could possibly draw. So there's a too big to fail on top of the deck, which is crazy. Because now if we steal the CityWorks project from 1 credit, they can too big to fail up to 11, and they actually can threaten punitive, but they can't threaten double punitive. I still think we're fine here, because I can run the remote, I can de-res Bulwark, I can break Bulwark. They also no longer have, like, the fact that they res this data loop is a really big deal, because they can no longer res the border control here. You actually can see my mouse, that's good to know. How did I not know that? But now that they res the data ward, they can't res the what's it called? They can't res the, excuse me, the border control, right? So we only have to run this once. We also can de-res with Bachlan Botchkin the Bulwark. They're still going to gain 2 credits when we encounter it, because it's going to work in that way. They get the priority on it because it's counter, win, encountering, stuff like that. So they're going to be up at 3 credits, and they have a too big to fail on top of their deck, and we're weak to double punitive if we steal this. Now, There's a couple issues here. I know I'm totally safe because I have Citadel Sanctuary, which will prevent all meat damage. And the cost of stealing this is not taking the meat damage, it's the cost of accessing it. So you can prevent the meat damage and steal it. It's not the same as Obokata Protocol. So I think I'm really smart here. And so I steal CityWorks Project, I access it. It asks me if I want to prevent any of the damage. We prevent the damage, we prevent 4. And then I realize, like, what the fuck happened? Why do I not have a hand? And then I realized the cost for CityWorks Project to use it is you have to trash your whole hand. So we just stole a 3-pointer. They have 3 credits. They have a too big to fail on top of their deck. If they have a single punitive, we lose the game. And they do. And we lose the game. Oh man, this is so heartbreaking. This is so a fuck up. Technically, you could tank that with Sanctuary and then draw up when rich. Like, this is so bad. And this is my face realizing, like, oh my god, what have I done? I totally forgot that the damage comes through. So if they have a punitive in hand or even a consulting visit, we lose because they draw too big to fail. And they do, and that's it. So did we fuck this up? Yeah. Excuse me. Did we goof this up? Horribly. There's so many things we could do. So they did economic warfare even into punitive counter-strike and we're dead. They have it exactly. I made this exact same mistake. Yeah, it's a problem. I need to read the card better because you don't usually use that ability, but there's so many things we could have done to not goof this up. Firstly, I think we needed to steal that agenda. If we didn't steal that agenda, they're on game point with a hostile takeover and we have no way to lock R&D realistically well. So that's an issue. So we have to steal it. So what could have we done? We should have realized that they couldn't res the border control. Last click, we should have drawn, and then we'd have been in 4 cards. Then we could run server 2, and we could have stolen, and we could have just trashed all the cards in hand. Then we could have stolen it. We would still have the Citadel Sanctuary, and they would need to like crazy double punitive us for this to go through, and we would have survived. We still wouldn't have been in the best place. We lost our Citadel. We have another in the deck. We still need to find breakers. They probably purge, but we actually probably could have won the game, or at least we would have had a further game. I think we played that really poorly. We goofed it up. I even like said like, why are they resing the data loop? That's terrible, right? Because we can prevent the damage anyways, but it wasn't. It was fine. I feel like the border control might have been a bit more relevant because we'd have to run this twice and they would have gained more credits off of the bulwark, but we definitely just absolutely goofed it up so hard, and that's that game. I think not trashing TBTF after data loop res was the biggest mistake. Well, the problem is that we couldn't have trashed it, because if we trashed it, we wouldn't have gotten an Amakuo counter and then we couldn't have ran the remote. I was considering it. Like, yeah, definitely you could want to consider trashing it for 5. But if we trash it, we don't have Amakuo counters. If we don't have Amakuo counters, we couldn't run server 2. Now, I did not realize that we could have actually trashed it and ran again because they couldn't have the money to res border control. And I had to think that we had to run the server twice. Also, maybe that was fine too, because we had Bachlan Botchkin counters. But I was worried again at that time, and I didn't realize that if I de-res it, I'd have to run it again through border control and then they would re-res it. So we still needed the counters. I feel like once we knew this was data loop, we should have just ran HQ. I feel like R&D was safe because we knew if we ran R&D, we wouldn't steal an agenda. If we stole an agenda, we wouldn't have got the Amakuo counters as well. And none of their agendas have additional costs on. So it was hard. Yeah, we had Bachlan for the D-res, but again, I thought they would have a border control, and I didn't realize after that they spent all their money. Could have D-resed, yeah, exactly. He beat me with 2 snares, lol. Or just draw a card and run. Yeah, Rob, I think that was the best thing. Is I didn't realize we had a click left because, again, I was thinking 2 clicks for the remote because of border control. We should have just clicked 1 and ran, and then we would have had it. Or by had it, I mean we wouldn't have died. And they would need 2 punitives, and I didn't do the math, but I don't think we died in 2 punitives. We're on game 2. Yeah, draw and run was the play, but like, yeah, I'm just upset with myself. Do I start to tilt? Yeah, probably. Let's go to game 2. All right, game 2. This is Gagarin Deep Space against Smoke, which is an interesting matchup, and I think the fact that our deck has C-Source is a really big deal because Smoke depends on Nemerker. And if you do C-Source, trash Nemerker, closed accounts, they generally run out of money, run out of ways to deal with things. Oh good, Tilted Andre is fun to watch. It's not that bad, it's not that bad tilt. I'm gonna actually want to play this one on a bit further speed because I don't think we do anything intelligent in this game. All right, look at that opening hand. Oh, it's beautiful. Now, Smoke is a shaper. They need to set up. A lot of their economy is also based off of run interaction. Things like boosting their breakers, Nemerker, stuff like that. Like, they need to run. Paragon, there you go, Paragon. They need to run. So right now, it's the exact same thing that happened in the last game. Now they're running with 5 credits. They install Caddy and not use it, which I think is really weird. And we can res a bunch of stuff. In theory here, we could have Rashida into Consulting Visit Hard-Hitting News, which I think we do. And they could be in a really bad spot, depending on what the 2 cards in hand is. And we just drew the Hard-Hitting News. I'm doing the math here. Agreed, it's fun content. So I'm doing the math here. So I think we just go ahead and figure out. I want to basically figure out, because the issue, what it looks like right now, is that if we hard-hitting use them, we won't have enough money to hit the boom in hand. We have everything in hand. Like, we had a really perfect draw for this play. Now, normally the better version of the Gagarin deck runs Economic Warfare for this reason. And if we had Economic Warfare in hand, we would have 100% won this game just because they ran once. And that's kind of the strength of Gagarin. And you saw in the first game, you probably shouldn't run if you don't have strong money. Especially after Rashida fires, but that's just bad luck. So now the thing I want to do here is basically install the Mamba to res the Drudge Work to throw out our agenda to get a 3 clickless 3 credits, or a click for 3 credits, which is good. And now we can boost and we can do credit boom next turn and they'll die. So it's super dependent on their hand whether or not they have SMC into misdirection. And it's kind of, they basically need to do it in the next 2 clicks or they lose the game. Oh, no, they could actually clear 3 tags. Oh, they have it. SMC misdirection. So they spend all their money. They don't do caddy. They're down on 0. That's probably fine for us, right? We have preemptives. We're drawing up. We hit our Indian Union Stock Exchange, which is a card we need. And then we just keep spamming sideways. From this point on, the runner can't interact with us because they don't have a lot of money. And we're just jamming assets. So I'm going to put the speed up even higher. All right, another Rashida fires or something. No, that was just actually... That was just triggers off of Daily Business Shows. So we have 2 Daily Business Shows. We have Mamba Temples. We're rezzing all our neutral stuff, getting extra value, and we start building a remote. That's a tour guide. Now, a big thing of this matchup is that Shapers, the Stealth Criminal Breaker, is actually really good at dealing with tour guide. So you generally need 2 tour guides because the bypass ability is only once per turn. Either that or tour guide border control. Here, I'm not drawing agendas. I have 11 credits. They actually have suddenly 13 credits because they've been hitting caddy pretty consistently, and we are just spamming sideways. Oh, that VLC bar is in the way, huh? Okay, if I just keep my mouse here, it'll get out of the way. And we're doing nothing smart here. Not icing R&D. We're at 6 credits because we did C-sourced into closed accounts. So now they're back down to 0. And now we're jamming into the remote. I think server 10 is either a 5-3 or an Atlas. They trash a boom on R&D or on HQ. Get down to Penumbra Toolkit. We're not doing anything too clever here. Draw 2 agendas. We don't want to keep them in hand. And we're scoring behind 2 pieces of ice, which is border control into tour guide. Keep drawing up. Score an SCS drone deployment to trash the misdirection. It'll come back soon. And now some weird things happen. They install a Gabriel Selassie. And Gabriel Selassie is interesting. It's not a card you see often. In some stealth builds, it makes sense because you use stealth credits to boost your breakers. I don't know, Blackstone or whatever. What is this, a stream for ants? Yeah, right? But I don't realize what this screams of. Does anybody see it right now? They have a lot of 1-cost cards. They're a Hushik deck, and I didn't see it. I haven't played around Hushik in a long time, and you notice we have 2 border controls, and we're not putting any of them, let alone both of them, on R&D, which is one of the best things you can do against a Hushik deck, because they probably have no other multi-axis, but we're not doing it. So, still jamming in the remote. Now we scored our 5-3, we want to find more. I did, right there, I played Ad Blitz. I want to say that we played Ad Blitz on stream. How good was it? Not very. We brought back 2 launch campaigns. Did we make money off of it? Yeah. Did we put money on Nasex? No, because we have 30 credits, they have 10. Like, we really didn't need to. But we technically did Ad Blitz. It was great. I gotta say, I do like this format when you have hindsight and commenting on your play, thoroughly enjoying. Yeah, thank you. Glad you like it. It's actually very interesting to comment on your play. And this is actually something I want to emphasize. A big part of how I know I got better at Netrunner is spending time editing my videos and other people's videos and looking at the stuff I've done. Like, analyzing that last play that we did about, like, the whole Bulwark thing, it's up there now, right? Like, I'm gonna be in these situations and not goof it up the same way and have a better understanding of how games work. Like, even on a macro level, it's really cool to see, like, how games work, who has pressure, who's control. There's so many reasons to do this. I keep trying to build Hushik decks and they still feel worse than Stargate at the end of the day. You gotta get lucky. I know a lot of people in my meta swore off Hushik just because they always see 6 and see nothing. Stargate's still a good card. The thing is, like, Stargate's just good. Like, even if you trash operations and ice, Stargate's great. Pretty instant game for one that wasn't good enough for YouTube. Is it? The Wayland one was. Not even. I don't know. I feel bad. It gets worse. It gets a lot worse, let me tell you. All my money is firing, and they're accessing, and we don't have a way to punish it, because I think we have 1 closed accounts, 2 closed accounts, 1's in archives, and we have another one. And this is the big issue here, is C-sourced into closed accounts now would be okay. Hard-hitting news would be not great, because they have 14 credits. And a big part about the Gagarin decks that are good is that you just jam a false lead behind the ice, score the false lead, and then you just do hard-hitting news and you win the game if they don't immediately have misdirection. So we're not doing that, so we have to score out. The problem is they have 14 plus credits, and we can't really stop them. I put 1 border control in server 10. They're dirty laundry R&D, getting accesses while we still have the credit lead, and it's not something we can punish. All our triggers fire. We have a consulting visit, so we could do C-source into closed accounts if we really want to, but we're just going to go ahead and score out an Atlas with a token on it, which is cute. And here's the first Hushik. I'm like, oh shit, it's Hushik. Of course it's Hushik. They also have Caddy Jones. Sorry, Liberate. Excuse me. They have a Film Critic. And the Film Critic had an Atlas before. So now they are on game point. They have an Atlas on here. I guess they're playing around some sort of punitive or something. Maybe game over. I don't know. And then they scored an SSL with a Hushik. And now I'm like, oh shit, they're a Hushik. They also, our deck is pretty thin because we put all our assets on the table. Our deck is just the agendas we keep shuffling back with DBS. And this is an issue. They're running back and they steal the last agenda. BC does wreck the high powered. Yeah, Vince, exactly. Preach the Kushikate. Yo, what up? This is going really fast. Yeah, exactly. It's going super, super fast. Maybe we played this one a bit too fast, but check this out. Basically, we never iced R&D. We did our own shit. Nothing smart. Draw, install asset, install asset. Oh, I got a remote. Install asset, install an agenda. They ran R&D, got an Alice. They Hushuked and they ran again, and they're now on game point. But their agenda is now on Film Critic. So they haven't won. So we have a very narrow out here. Basically, what we have to do is we have to C-source. We have to trash Film Critic, and then because we don't have it, we have to use an Atlas counter. We have to use an Atlas counter to get preemptive action, because when you trash Film Critic, the agenda goes to archives to shuffle the agenda back in. That has to be our turn or we lose the game. So here we go. We're going to C-source them down, trace 20 or whatever we need to do. We're going to trash the Film Critic, and then we'll play the Atlas for a preemptive and put it back into our deck with some other punishment cards. Now, you'll notice an issue here. We still didn't put a border control in R&D. Obviously, we couldn't. Oh, dredge work on the table. Oh, no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh, I'm so glad I didn't publish this! Why, Alice? I don't know what dredge work does! Yeah, we had a dredge work. That was stupid. Alright, so chat, what's the winning play? Don't do that and put a border control in R&D. We didn't do that. We didn't put a border control in R&D. Andre thinks he's bad, but he's worse. Yeah! Oh my god, so much worse. And then basically if they have a Hushuk, they win. And they have a Hushuk and they win. We could have installed the border control. I'm just absolutely kicking myself. Like, not only do we play that so poorly, the deck obviously did nothing. The ad blitz is bad. We didn't, like, if we played the other versions of the Wayland deck, we would have probably won this matchup. And against a deck that was pretty clearly on Hushuk, and we never border controlled R&D, we could have put 2 border controls on R&D. Like, it's so rough. And that's it. We lost 2. We're now 2-2, and we go into the last round. And let me tell you, the last round is, I'm not proud of it, I don't think. Here we go. All right, this one I'll play a bit slower, but even though we probably shouldn't. Okay, so first thing to say, this opponent is Dom. We've been playing against Dom a fair bit in the last couple of weeks. It's really cool. Dom used to play a lot of poker. Dom played a lot of Netrunner back in the day. He used to be one of the like when I started playing Netrunner, I was playing against Dom. And it's really cool to see Dom again. Dom always played Jinteki Personal Evolution. Dom always played damage decks. Dom as Mushin Notion. Dom had a t-shirt that says, probably still has it, that says install advance on advance in it. That's all Dom does. Install, advance, advance. Cool. So I think it's a trap deck, which is pretty scary. There's a couple things about this matchup. Firstly, I have falsified credentials, which is really strong. Percomis's list only had 1 and 3 dirty laundries. I changed that to 2 and 2, just because I knew there was a chance I'd have to play against Dom, and because I knew we might be playing against people from Toronto, so having some exposed is pretty good. So that's in this list, and that's pretty good. The other thing I know is that Dom loves Psychic Field. He probably has 2 or 3 of them in the deck, which means that we can never use our ability, 419's ability, when they install anything into a remote server, because we can die. If we've ran last turn and we say, what is that? And they say Psychic Field and we lose the side game, Neural EMP, we're dead. Technically not always. If we have the Anachem down, and I never play Anachem in all these 3 games as a bummer, we just can't do it. So it's going to be a rough matchup, and a lot of this matchup comes down to getting the early good accesses, Stargate, Econ Denial, some of the like old Jinteki stuff, but Econ Denial is nowhere near the way it used to be back when like PE was playing against Account Siphon, which is what Dom is used to. So I was really excited for that. Well, not really excited, because honestly playing Mushin no Shin decks on JNet really doesn't do it for me. I was ready for this sort of Jinteki deck, Jinteki game. Also, based on the standings, right now, me and Dom are exactly in the middle. We're 6-6, so if either of the sweeps, in theory, like if we were playing competitively to win and we wanted to like really make top cut, this is where you would 2 for 1. You basically say whoever wins the first game wins both games. We obviously, it's a G&K, no one gives a shit. But basically, if somebody wins 2, there's a chance that they could come in top 4 or even win the tournament. So this is important. Speaking of old Netrunner, did you redo a TBD's reboot? I did, Tetsuto. I did read through that. It's going to be a large sidebar if we get to that. Thanos says I love Mushin decks too. All right, so we're off. We mulligan, I think, in our hand. Another thing we know about Dom's deck. Dom plays Show of Force because it's a cool Mushin target. It's like a mini Ronin. If they don't run it, you can score it and do 2 meat damage and 1 net damage. So the fact that we have Citadel Sanctuary, now that we fully understand what it does, we are off to the races. That's a good card to keep. This is not playing. Let me just restart it. Maybe it's too fast. If I hit play, it goes to normal speed. Okay, it's back. So Dom's off. Again, Dom installed ice first, so we can't expose, and we have a card in server 1. So a lot of this with the Jinteki, we can play this one at full speed, I guess. You're not that bad, lol. Coming to the stream late, and there are 2 Andres. Yo, Disperse, how's it going? Yeah, so we had a G&K on Tuesday. I'm not going to edit the videos together because I think they're not particularly good, so I just want to talk through them here. All right, so we're setting up. Doesn't Citadeling a Show of Force kill you? Didn't I just say I understood how the card worked? Whatever. We say, yeah, it does. All right, so they have a card in server 1. Worst case, Psychic Field, Snare. Best case, House of Knives for us if we run it. So we're basically setting up. Well, a big thing about these Jinteki matchups is like they have Obokata, and holy crap, Obokata in PE is so painful. 5 damage, and then you have to draw up to not die to Psychic Field is so nuts. So it's a very important thing to install as few cards as you can in this matchup so you don't get ground out. So Amakua, Citadel Sanctuary, Pad Tap, that's more money than our Dirty Laundries, than our Gambles. We can probably only play those. What a lot of PE players do on instinct because of IF has worse odds. Now they fire the PE damage first. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess. Also, we have Anacam, so technically not always. Let's just say Anacam makes that correct. Yeah, okay, Anacam makes that correct. They're icing up archives. That makes a lot of sense. We put Turtle down without putting any pressure on. So this is an issue because it means that Turtle is not going to be good enough. We're probably going to need other breakers. We can assume the minimum strength of their ice is 1. I don't think there's any in Jinteki ice they probably play that's less than 1. And we install Stargate, stab it onto the table before we lose it to damage from PE scoring out. I also know another couple things about Dom's deck. I know Dom loves Project Kusanagi because Dom also loves Tithonium. Tithonium was a really big surprise back in the day where a criminal was doing a lot more, when Account Siphon was around was when Dom was last playing. And when you have no money, criminals will run and then you'd be like, I'll forfeit an agenda. Kusanagi's best case, but I'll forfeit any agenda to score, to res a Tithonium, which has a really relevant subroutines and also importantly trashes a resource, which means you can deal with Film Critic if people aren't expecting it. So we have to play around that, which is pretty scary. Dom's doing nothing. We haven't seen Mushin no Shins, just icing up everything, clicking for credits, maybe playing an IPO. And we have a diversion of funds in hand. So here we have the option to do Boomerang into diversion of funds. I'm putting down Bachlan Botchkin, who has some legs here because it lets us de-res a Kakugo on this run if we need to. Cortex Lock here is not that bad. Oh, I do play an Anacam. Okay, count it. And we're diverting here just to get their money down. It's probably not worth playing. And honestly, this is pretty shit. I don't think it's worth the card of the 2 clicks when they're at 19 credits, but keeping their money down is kind of important. They have some bigger ice. Snare is expensive. It's a Kakugo. We could de-res it, but I think we want to just play this diversion to force them to res. So they paid 4, we end the run. At the end of the day, this Kakugo could be fine because we have Turning Wheel, but so much of our plan right now is just to get in with Stargate to make sure that we're not accessing traps, throw them all into archives and try and win the game. Yeah, it's a doof. Yeah, we're not gonna hit a snare. So, all right. We also now drew up with Anacam, and right now we've been playing pretty conservatively. I feel weird playing Deuce's Wilds because it's 1 card that draws us 3. It's like playing Diesel because of Anacam, and I don't love that idea. They ice up HQ again. Again, we're not seeing Mushin, we're not seeing Install Advance, we're just seeing a bit of a Dirtle, which means what I don't know what that means about their hand. All right, so I guess we do this here, which draws us 3 cards, which is a bit of a shit thing to do. Like, I don't know what we do with the 3 cards. Like, right now, it looks like we're throwing out Dirty Laundries, which is such a bummer. So we might want to try and get an Axis here. We have the Mina. There technically you could expect some code gates. I think Yagura is not the biggest deal. We install Hernando Cortez, which seems kind of nice here, but what's the worst case scenario? Like Iki for 4, Komainu doesn't have subroutines, Sai Sintan for 8 would be sweet, and now we're bravadoing. At this point, we just have to play these cards to get them out of our hand, and we hit a Cortex Lock. It only does 1 damage, which is fine. We also could break it for 2. Do you take a damage or you pay 2 credits? I feel like we probably should just pay 2 credits here, because we need every single card we can. Like, this is basically like having a Caldera, which costs 3. No respect for It's a Trap? No, not at all. But that's a really big thing, is we can't use our ability. Alright, so we took the net damage. Maybe that's a mistake. We'll see if that catches up to us. And now we're hitting the Kakugo and we're just jacking out because we already took a damage. We just didn't want to discard cards, so we played and lost some of them. It's a bit of a bummer. I'm gonna put the speed up 1. Alright. It's turn 8. Nothing's been scored. Archive memories for an IPO. That's going to show you a bit how slow this game is. Corroder on the table. You want to install that before you lose it. It's the only Corroder in our deck, and we don't want to lose it to errant damage. And Corroder's a really big deal. And here we're diversioning. I don't like this at all. We're spending 2 cards to do like this shitty like pseudo 5 credit swing. Another good thing about the Corroder is that our MU is now full, so you don't have to deal with the Cortex Lock. It's effectively blank. We lose Amakua to damage, and we're doing a 5 credit swing. Is that good? No, not particularly. I don't think Dom is on a punitive list, and even then we do in theory have Citadel Sanctuary, as bad as that is a lot of times, but I feel like that was a waste of 2 cards. Corp clicking for credits again. It's turn. This is what happened. This became one of those Jinteki grind matchups. This wasn't the Jinteki trap damage net damage deck I thought it would be, which is not really fun. At this point, I'm realizing the best thing I could do is hope R&D with Stargate that there's no Kakugos. We run R&D. We see Tithonium, Obokata Protocol, and Kakugo, and this is actually an interesting choice. Chat, I'd be interested to hear what you think here. Tithonium is an issue. Tithonium is, it costs us like 6 credits to get to, which is pretty untenable. Kakugo is probably worse. I think Kakugo 1 to get through, but at the end of the day, we can't keep going through Kakugo over and over again. So I think we trash the Kakugo. If they draw Obokata Protocol, it's okay. We have Falsified. If they motion it, we could expose it if we really want to. We're weak to exposing what's it called, to Psychic Field. So I think it's a Kakugo here every time, and then we can just make sure Obokata's on top of the deck, and we can run back next turn if they don't draw. And it looks like they don't want to draw, so I think it's a Kakugo. It's a Kakugo. Fantastic. And we know this deck runs probably 3 archive memories. They've already used one on an IPO, which is really interesting. Like right now they could have IPO'd for a Kakugo and put on R&D, and our game would have been probably fucked. But we're halfway through our deck. We're on no points, and that's such a problem. Ice on HQ or R&D. We are assuming it's a Tithonium. They don't prevent the expose. We know it's a Tithonium. We get a counter, and now they're advancing the remote, and it's a Project Kusanagi, which is a 2/0. It's largely blank. It's basically blank, but it means that Tithonium on R&D they can now res for free. Also, this doesn't add damage to us because they scored an agenda. So we run R&D. They res Tithonium for free. And then we have to break it for 6 every time, and we can't keep up with that. Our economy is not infinite. We don't have Caddy Jones. We do have pad taps, or starting to have pad taps, but the whole combo, what's it called? Rogue trading, but like we can't afford to do this. So we know we're gonna hit an Obokata here, so it's a good thing. Just de-res it is totally true, Rob, but it doesn't scale well because they're gonna score out another card. Now, interestingly enough, Dom's deck might not have been modernly updated. I don't think there's a lot of new cards in this deck, so he's not playing Shipment from Tenon, which he definitely should be because there's a lot of turns we haven't run, and if he Shipment Tenon is out a hostile takeover, what's it called, House of Knives, like we're in a really bad spot. So we spent a lot on this. I think we spent 8 credits to get off this thing. It's Obokata, House of Knives, Tithonium. It's another really interesting choice here. The Tithonium is going to be an issue. They're going to either res it for 9 or res it for free, and they're going to put it on R&D, and we can't afford to spend 12 plus credits running R&D. We just can't do it. And we can't really pressure HQ too well. It's just not great until we have Turning Wheel, and Kakugo is kind of an issue, even though we can get Turning Wheel counters off of it. And House of Knives is also a scary agenda. So not sure what to do. We trash the Obokata. Getting that in archives is good. As long as they don't archive memories or preemptive action it, we know we can end the game by taking 4 damage and running archives. So they're going to draw into House of Knives into Tithonium. We can't run back. We don't have the money. So we are going to Deuces Wild, draw 2, gain 3. Again, more than halfway through our deck. Only on 5 credits now. Where has our money gone? And again, drawing another card. We did draw a Falsified. And now we're probably going to end up discarding a card. So this seems like a good time to run HQ. Just because we're going to lose a damage to the Kakugo. We want to keep the falsified. It's our best card. You also can't boomerang Tithonium. And I throw out a card there, which I think is a bummer. I think instead of throwing out a card, you probably should just go for a single axis. The issue obviously is Snare. Now with Snare, we can remove the tag with Citadel Sanctuary, but like taking the extra damage is pretty rough. And they might have agendas in hand. It's hard to tell at this point. But I think throwing out a card there is probably wrong. I think you want to go for an axis. Biotic Labor. We'll do the expose here because we're pretty sure they don't Biotic Labor out of Psychic Field, as dope as that would be, and they score out of House of Knives. And again, they're not on shipment from Tenant, they're on Biotic Labor, and they will go down to 1 credit just to score that thing out. It does the damage, and we know it's going to do 4 more damage. So our health points right now are at 25. We're going to be basically down to 20. And this is the issue that really frustrates me about this sort of matchup. It's like, I thought this would be a different matchup, and maybe, like, I have no hard feelings against Dom. Maybe this was just a hand they built. But in so many of these Jinteki grind matchups, the best thing you can do is just click for credits. Because at the end of the day, they don't really have a strong play on how to score in a remote. They either have to like build a remote, which I don't think they can do in a very convincing way, or they have to install Advance or Mushin. And we do have 2 falsifieds. So we can kind of contest that. We also can kind of hope that we run the best thing, but us interacting with them, trying to close the game, is doing us more damage than good. I feel like the best thing we can do in this matchup is install breakers and just click for credits. And it's such a bummer. And there's ways to deal with it. Like you can just put in Caldera, even though I don't think we can afford it. You could put in a buffer chip, which I think is better. Well, are they already on RD3? Yeah, we're on round 3, yes. And so I do Sure Gamble, Turning Wheel. I drew with the final deuces. I stepped away. Yeah, we're on round 3. We've been going through them pretty fast, but they haven't been full on games. And of course, Dom clicks for credits. He needs to. There's nothing else to do. So we have a hand here. Falsified's good. Boomerang, probably not worth it. We have all our breakers, minus Code Gates. Dirty Laundry, definitely not worth playing. Bravado, definitely not worth playing. Andre only operates on 1.72 speed. You need a Turning Wheel to blank Cortex Lock? Yeah, we basically need to draw into a Turning Wheel, but this is an issue. What if our Turning Wheel's in the bottom 10 cards? Like, what do we do? I think we're going to draw it right now, though. Oh, we have a Turning Wheel. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, now we need to fill up Turning Wheel. And I think I realized that is all we have to do is fill up Turning Wheel. I don't know what I'm drawing into right now. I think it's just money, so I play a Bravado, which is going to draw me another card, which is an issue. So we're going in here. So House of Knives hits a falsified, which draws us another falsified with our Anacam. I think you're right. I think all we have to do is build a Turning Wheel. And I don't think I do that soon enough. So we break Hakugo, so we take 2 damage. Successful run, we access another Tithonium. So no surprise there, that's the 1 card we knew. So now we are down onto 19 hit points. We need 4 at least to steal the Obokata, and we still need to steal 2 more agendas. We draw once, we're running HQ, and we're just Turning Wheeling now. The thing is, I can't use the... In theory, there's a way to click on Turning Wheel to just say bounce on HQ over and over and over again. But we can't do that because they have House of Knives. So we have to give them the option to be able to hurt us. So we also get Bachland Botchkin counters, which might matter. Only 1 Bachland? Yeah, this deck only has 1. Shadaku, what's up? Would love to see some more Doomtown. I hear that. It's been hard with time. We got the new cards and they've been pretty good. And Maddie and I have been playing. I got to look into that. Thank you, though, for the message. All right, another piece of ice on R&D. What do you think it is? It's another Tithonium. Of course it's another Tithonium. Our Amaku is up to 4 strength. It doesn't really matter. Once we get to 5 strength, it will matter. It saves us a fair butte. And we drew another Rogue Trading, which I think we have to install because it is the most money in a single card in our whole deck. And now we sit back and do nothing. I feel like all we now need to do is basically like Turning Wheel, Bachland. Or sorry, Turning Wheel, Rogue Trading. Turning Wheel, Rogue Trading. No problem, love your stuff. Hey, cheers. All right, so again, this is what? This is a nightmare. This is turn 14, 1 agenda's been scored. Is Dom's hand full of agendas? I doubt it. I think Dom would have just bluffed him and gone in. Maybe Dom does respect falsified credentials. He has trashed 1, but Dom instead is purging. But turn 14, and we're more than halfway through our deck and there's 1 agenda out. That looks so bad for us. So we got to go. We know this is going to cost us 6, 12, 13, 14 credits to get a single Stargate. I think is the best thing we can do. It's better than a single access. We take 1 damage from Anacam, hitting our last falsified credentials, so we no longer have exposed. That does draw us a card though with Anacam, which is kind of interesting. And we can just botchkin this, just so now they have to pay 9 credits and they can't re-res it. So this actually doesn't cost us 12. This costs us only 8 with refund. This also gets us a Turning Wheel counter, which is pretty good. But yeah, we probably like I I should have realized, like a couple turns ago, the best thing we could have done is not play the game. We should have just HQ and turning wheel, then mass drawn, played a class act, and next turn ran R&D. And that's it. Like, we just shouldn't have interacted. Archive Memories, Psychic Field, House of Knives. So this is the bummer, right? Like, the House of Knives, if we throw it away, they'll Archive Memories it back if they really need to. So I think you have to trash the Archive Memories here. The Psychic Field's an issue anyways, but anything they jam into remote is going to be a problem. Like, a Snare is almost as bad as a Psychic Field at this point, considering how few cards we have. And the Snare fires 100% of the time. So we trash the Archive Memories. And not much to do. We drew a class act and we rogue trading. So the class act is interesting because class act is very compressed burst draw. So right now I think the play is we know that there's going to be agendas in hand at this point of the game and they're not doing anything with it. So I think a lot of things we want to do is when we want to play class act and burst draw and then run HQ and see all of HQ with the turning wheel. Now the issue is we have too few cards. Like, we just have too few cards at this point in the game. Right? Like, if within the HQ there's two agendas, imagine it's an Obokata into another agenda. Like, say worst case scenario, it's Obokata into Fetal AI, which they're probably not playing because I think they're on the meat damage one. Like, how much damage is that? It's 8 damage. Like, we need to access HQ with 9 cards in hand, and we lose all of them. Right? Because we have to go through Kakugo, we have to heal Obokata, and we have to steal Fetal AI. And like, sure, I'm not, like, a big issue is that we have no damage mitigation in this deck. Like, you could definitely tech it. I never love narrow tech cards. I guess No One Home is the best you could do, but No One Home would be pretty useless because No One Home gets eaten on the Kakugo. Installing a new remote, we can't expose it because it could easily be the Psychic Field they draw on off the top of their deck, and they score it out. It's a Project Kusanagi. That's another damage. It's not that great. It's like a whole turn to do a Psychic Field. Sorry, a Neural EMP, but the biggest idea is now R&D. They can just res the Tithonium again. Tithonium is so good. Again, it's a lot worse against Paperclip where you break this for like 4 credits. We're paying 6, but that's it. We have 15 cards left. We have no agendas. We know we're going to need at least 9 of our cards to steal double Obokata. Otherwise, we're going to have to steal even more agendas. So we're just bouncing HQ, and we basically have given up. And it feels really bad. Citadel removes a tag. I don't know why we have a tag for Citadel. That seems like a glitch. Confused about that. I'm checking in the chat log. And that'd probably be better if you see my face. I guess you see some facial expression. They install a remote. This could easily be a Psychic Field, so we're not. I look so defeated. Bachman plus rogue trading. Did we do rogue trading that turn? Oh, we had 2 tags? Wait, we had 2 tags before and they didn't trash our turning wheel? Oh my lord. So the big question here is, do we run it? If it's a Psychic Field, we're fucked. If it's a Snare, we're fucked. If it's a 1-pointer, we don't win much. If it's a Philotic, it'll help a lot. You got greedy for the Tithonium as, oh my god, we could have thrown the game so much worse. So I'm just ignoring it and I'm bouncing on HQ. So worst case scenario, this is a House of Knives. It's a House of Knives. That's the House of Knives we knew they drew. I don't know why we didn't run it. So that's a problem. That's 4 more damage. So that's 4 more damage. So we have 14 hit points. No, we actually have 9 hit points. We know we need 5 for an Obokata and at least probably, like, I don't think we win the game anymore. That hair fix. Yeah, we probably should have ran that. The thing is, like, it's a 50-50 between the Psychic Field and or it's something else. So we drew our second class act, which means we can burst and see all of HQ next turn if we want to plan it. And I think we're planning it. I'd have ran that mostly because I have to steal this point. Yeah, Merska, you say that, but like, even if we steal it, I think you're right. I think you're totally right. I think at that point we needed to steal, so we had to run. Because I think if it's a Snare, we lose anyways. But if it's not an agenda, we probably lose anyways. Yeah, it's a Psychic Field. I think you're right. I think we should have just been like, yeah, fuck it. If this is wrong, we lose regardless. Because I don't think we can win this game with 12 cards. And like, this is such a bummer. The Corp did nothing. And I'm not like, I'm trying not to, I'm not shit talking dumb, but like in this game, and this is totally a legit play, is it's turn 18. They have 1 agenda legitimately scored. I guess they did throw out the other House of Knives, but like, it's crazy. And it's just too expensive for us to get central accesses. So it's just a bummer of a game. All right, can we close it off though? We now have 9 cards in hand. We have to drop more to like respect things. We don't know what this is on HQ, but they can't probably res it. They probably replaced it so we can't build up turning wheel tokens. But if they can't res it, it doesn't matter. We take 1 net damage here. We'll take 1 from the House of Knives. Well, remember to use these counters. Super important play. And we'll see the whole hand. It's a snare. They can't fire it. It's a good time. It's a show of force. It's a damage. It's another snare. Can't fire it. And an Obokata. So now we're down to 5 cards. And we can't steal the Obokata from archives. Wait. Yeah. Wait, can we not? We are short... We are short a card in our hand to run an Obokata in archives, right? Like right now we just have to run with 5 cards in hand to hit the Obokata. Right? Like we're so close. We are so close to winning this game. We are basically short 2 cards in hand. We have 5 cards right now, but do you know what they have in hand? A Neural EMP. They credit Neural EMP, we lose. That's it. As soon as they Neural EMP us, we can't steal the Obokata anymore. Doesn't the steal win before the PE damage? It totally does, but we only have 3 cards. So we're short of clicks, right? So if we drop 1, we can't run. Okay, so we drop 2, we have 5 cards in hand. Then their turn, they're going to Neural EMP us. Then we lose a damage war on 4. When we run, they House of Knives us. We can no longer steal the Obokata. That's it. Isn't it fine because we win before? Yeah, but they have Neural in hand. That's the 1 card that we couldn't trash, and they have House of Knives. But you're right. Why are there 2 of you? We're reviewing some old footage. So we basically have 1 turn here before they Neural us and we're out. Neural House of Knives, we can't do anything. So what do? Do we just do an honest run on R&D? I feel like that's our best access here is actually just run R&D or even run archives and hope there's a future perfect in there. That's also a legitimate play that I don't think I considered. Like run archives, hope there's a future perfect. And then they have a bad chance at the side game. If they spend 1 credit, they can still Neural us, but it's only a 50-50 to win the game. We know there's Breach Domes in there. That's another issue though, but like, and taking the Breach Dome damage means we have a less chance of winning next turn if we run R&D and steal like a Philotic or something. So this is a hard turn. But like, I don't know what to do. The whole game, HQ was 2 snares behind a Kaku, so we just click for credit. That can't be right. And they still have 3 on House of Knives and a Neural hand. So they do credit Neural. We draw a card because of Anacam. Why are you out? There's still 13 other points assuming 3 Obo. Yeah, but William, what can we do? 7 points? Yeah, but like, what can we do? Right? Like, we make 2 more runs with House of Knives. We're not totally out, you're right. So we can't steal, what's it called? The baby. We can't steal Fetal. We can't steal Obokata. Sure. Now, if they can have more than 1 Neural, it's a problem. But we can make 3 more runs, which means, we have 4 cards, and they have 3 House of Knives, and probably more Neurals. So the chances of winning is very, very, very slim. You're right, we're not totally out. We still have a small chance here. So, if we draw now, we're technically safer against Breach Dome if we run Archive, so we don't lose 2 cards, we only lose 1. Rogue trading to gain 6. I don't see why that's important. Show of Force, maybe? Yeah, we can still Show of Force. We don't know their hand. Well, we know 50% of their hand, but I don't think we can get a single access through Kakugo. Also, if they run R&D, they can res the Tithonium. So basically, we can not interact with them. Also, we can't build turning wheel counters anymore, because every time we do turning wheel, they just House of Knives us. I think draw, bounce, -1 card, run R&D, -1 card, access 3, you can still feel. Yeah, I think we have to go now. Or we can wait. Like, it's either go now or click for credits. The thing is, like, click for credits isn't the worst, right? Because at the end of the game, they're only on 1 point. They still have to score. And what can they score? Yeah, they can score the Obokata. You're totally right, they can score the Obokata, but they can't score anything else. If they score the last Obokata non-archives, they still won't win the game. So the biggest issue here is our right play is to click for credits. We're ahead on points, we're ahead on time. Well, we're not. We have a lot of time left in the round. But if we just click for credits slowly or quickly, they still have to win the game in a remote. We know 2 snares are out. We know Psychic Field is out. So probably every other card that they jam, -1 or 2, has to be an agenda. The problem is also if there's still another House of Knives. And if it's a House of Knives, like, we still need another agenda. But like the best thing I think we do now is actually wait for them to jam into a remote. I don't know. Can you Stargate? Yeah, we can. But we basically only get 1 good Stargate. Basically, play is draw to 4, grab 1 turning 1 counter, 3 cards run R&D, 2 cards C. I don't even know if that's it. Like, I don't know if we hope R&D is good. I think we wait and play the remote. Because they have to install Advance at the end of the day. And then we have to, they basically have to bluff out. Because like, it's one thing for us not to lose, but they still have to win. Because otherwise we can click for credits. They only have 19 cards left in R&D. But yeah, we can definitely Stargate. I think I'm looking at that right now. But it's still like, unless we die, and we have to die. Like, that's the thing that I don't think I realized. Like, sure, maybe I don't have any more cards anymore. I guess if they have House of Knives, it's different. But like, yeah, there's a timer. Like, do we wait the timer out on a GNK? No, we don't. So we're going for the Stargate. We're trying to close the game out. House of Knives. Well, first they Resident Tithonium for free. We can break it for 6. House of Knives does a damage. We get through the Kumainu for free, but this is already 12 credits down the drain. Don't be the timer guy. Yeah, no, I have no intention to do it. And we get 1 good Stargate. This could be it. If we hit a non-Obokata agenda here, we can win. It has to be a 2-pointer. It's Breach Dome, Hedge Fund, Neural. That Neural is a problem. The Breach Dome is also in theory a problem because it's well, the Neural you probably trash. The Breach Dome is something you can jam into remote, which is also an issue too. So we don't have it. We now only have 3 more cards, and they have 2 House of Knife tokens, so that kind of lines up okay. Breach Dome less of an issue? Yeah, it's still 1 damage, which is very impactful when you only have 3 cards. All right, we draw. I was worried there that it was like, which card do you want to put on your bottom? I'm like, no, I don't want to put any cards on the bottom. I want to draw them. And they've drawn up. So what do? I think we camp on the remote. So I think the next like many turns, I just click for credits. I don't think we have a play anymore. We know the 1 card on R&D. We could go again. We actually can't go again through double Tithonium, right? It's 12 credits. Trash one program, that's the corpse choice. So like we just have to click for credits. We have no more money. We can't get through the Tithoniums. Like this is such an expensive server. It's just 12 to get a Stargate off. And all we can do here is click for credits. Andre looks so stressed. I am miserable right now. I got water though. I usually edit this part out. Credit card hedge fund. I think this might be why you love your 100 card max decks. I really do. Even like, fuck it. We could have played. We were considering playing a 50 card. What's it called deck? Alice Merchant. It would have been terrible though. Breach Dome in Archives is a problem. And I'm just clicking for 4. That's all we can do here. Click for 4 until we have 12 credits and then Stargate. But we want more than 12 because we still have to break Archives Ice. I doubt it's anything huge. I guess if it's in theory like a Nazi, we lose the game. But and they install on a remote. Is it a psychic field? I don't expose it. They could have paid a credit. Like it's the expose is so bad here, right? Because if it was a psychic field, they don't, and if it isn't a psychic field, they just pay 1. Like their credits don't matter. Honestly, I think a single archives interface and Alice can be legit. Yeah, the list I was looking at Toronto has one in. It's also gonna get CVS if you're on Namakua, which I think is way more common. So do we run this? It's not advanced. Which means if it's not non-advanced, okay, so this is the way I see it. This is not an advanced card, and we haven't seen any shenanigans, which means that this card won't help them win in a big way unless it's the last House of Knives. It's likely to either be a Project Kusanagi or a Breach Dome, so we probably don't run it. We just click for credits. I mean, you're in turn 21, you're 63 cards down of max ability alone. Think Trash and Kick goes more than playing 100 cards max, yeah. And it's a House of Knives. They just scored a second House of Knives, which means we can no longer Stargate. Because if we run R&D, they take 2 damage. So we basically have 1 run left to win the game. We could run Archives and hopefully steal an agenda there that we can steal, or run R&D. But we can no longer Stargate. Because they just scored another House of Knives. And if we stole that House of Knives, we'd still be fucked anyways. Because we'd still be on 2 cards, and we still couldn't Stargate at least. But that's so brave of them that they jammed a House of Knives there. Like, that's a legitimately cool play. I think it's the right play regardless. Like, if we steal it, it's fine for them. If they don't steal it, they win the game anyways. We have 1 more run. Click for credits, run R&D, hope. 12, jokes on you. The Kumainu does nothing. Oh, we can see extra cards with the turning wheel. Neural EMP, Aiki, Project Kusanagi kills us. That's it. Man, I don't know. I was like, and this is gonna be obvious soon, I was so tempted to die to Fetal. Yeah, I don't think they're on Fetal actually. I was so bummed out about this game. And I think a big part of it was like, it's kind of late at night. It was also really hot. This is before we put the air conditioning in. So I was kind of miserable, and we ground through this game. And I know that people were going to watch this game after. I don't think we did anything particularly clever. I was so surprised that this just turned into the Jinteki grind games, where the best thing we could have done, and this always like tilts me, the best thing we could have done is is nothing. Is literally sit back and click for credits and wait for the remote, because they still have to win. Like, they still need to score at a fair few agendas, and they only had 12 cards left in R&D. Like, the best thing we should have done is nothing, and it bummed me out. Obviously a good game, rehost, and we go to the second game, and the second game again is Lila against Gagarin. We mulligan into this hand, which is not great. We have double Nassix, which is the only 2 of a unique card. We have something on HQ for Account Siphon. They get down an early Paragon and start going for single accesses, which is, again, is pretty wild, considering hard-hitting news here would be game-winning, let alone hard-hitting news into Rashida. And they just click for credits because they see a hard-hitting news on top of the deck. We res a Nassix. We draw into another SDS drone deployment and click for a credit. We're on 6. We have no good assets going right now. We're in a pretty bad spot. We are no really strong assets. They have a Paragon down, which kind of blanks our ability. We have a hard-hitting news, which is probably not going to be relevant as soon as they play a gamble. That's a really big thing in Gagarin. You need a really strong opening a lot of times. Like, you need 2 or 3 good assets. And we draw 2 of probably the worst tempo asset in our deck. We drew 2 Nassix, which we can't even res both of them, but basically it's a pad campaign. That's really bad on opening. Anything else would have been better. They Bravado HQ, and this is interesting. I don't care too much about the access here because it hits SDS drone deployment they can't steal. But then I don't realize things. Like, obviously we res this, we go down 3 credits, but if we don't res this, they gain 2 extra credits, right? Because not only does Bravado get an extra credit for passing, but they also get Paragon. And I didn't realize that really, and I'm like, oh, we didn't res. So now we're at a really bad spot where I'm at 6, they're on 10, we have a Nassix, and they play Mining Accident. If we take the bad publicity, we probably lose the game. If we pay 5, we probably lose the game. So we pay 5, and we're 2 agendas in hand, hard-hitting news, closed accounts, a single Nassix, and a bunch of garbage in our hand. And I feel really bad about this. I concede the game. I didn't want to play this out. I was so bummed out after those last couple rounds. I know I played terribly. I was hot as hell and miserable. We drew a CSR campaign, which isn't particularly good. They have way more money than us. We're never going to make more money. Our hand is absolute garbage. We can't even res our HQ ice. And I just asked, hey man, do you mind if I concede? They were okay with it, like, if you need to, and that's it. And I fold. And that's the end of the tournament. And we ended terribly. We were like in the bottom 4, but it doesn't matter. But I don't know. I felt really bad after all of this, and I don't think we played it particularly well. This ending is awful. Like, I've never seen that happen at a G&K. This felt like the right play at the time, which I'm not proud of. If this was a G&K in person, obviously we'd play, because another issue is, like, I'm not in voice chat talking with people, which I think would make this a bit more like fun. Dom is really fun to play against when he's playing his traps. It's really it's a lot nicer to play against him. Dude, you chilling? Thanks, jogging. Chensling says, I mean, P games are like definitely tilting. Yeah, I feel like I tilted a while ago too. Like, we just made so many bad decisions in a row. And at this point, I was like, I don't want to, like, I think I put ourselves here at like a maybe 1% chance to win, 2%. And I just wanted to do anything else, which is a bummer. That PA Dick should read, when agenda scores don't do one day of challenge. So people have bad days, it's a game. Yeah, this was like the worst day. Like, I don't know. I'm worried that's like unsportsmanlike. That's the thing that I'm worried about. And if it is, don't hesitate to call me out about it. Like, I get it. But this was probably the worst showing we had. I did that at US Nats one year. Oh, bummer. I mean, both of your decks are kind of designed to grind a bit themselves. Yeah, it's like we were playing like NP-esque decks ourselves. So like I have like, look, I don't put this blame on anybody else but myself. Like, that's not the point of this. Like, I was having a bad day. I don't care what deck Dom is playing. It's not on me to like he's having fun. It's great. Like, that's not the point that I'm trying to get here. I just was miserable after this, which is a problem. Didn't have fun conceding like last round early. Beams. It's like Halion beta test. Oh no. I don't think a GG out should be looked down. I never understood that. Yeah, well, some people like they assume like the way I see it, like it's organized play. You owe a game. I don't know. It's a respectful, good game. I don't mind too much. The issue is when people like you draw a bad opening hand like this dickhead and be like, fuck it, I don't want to play. Like, that's lame. That's kind of lame. To be like, oh, this hand's bad, you win. Like, it just takes away so much from your opponent who wanted to do a thing and have fun with you, and you just said, fuck it, I'm not gonna allow you to do that. Like, it's a kind of a bummer. I remember being very miserable after day 1 of Mopus. Ugh. If you're not having fun, do it. Yeah, you're good. Beans. Anyways, that was this tournament. I didn't really want to spend the time staring at this too much. It takes a while to edit these together and put them up and do thumbnails and all the other stuff. So I just wanted to show them here. I think it's actually a really interesting format to take the gameplay and like watch it in post. We talked about this before, like talk about it with retrospect as opposed to like showing the gameplay of you playing the game at the same time. Because retrospect, like hindsight is 2020. It's obviously very important. And going back to games exactly is really, really, really important, as Jogging says. It's definitely easier to concede and leave internet tournaments. Yeah, it's a lot easier. I went and played Monster Train and had some cold water and turned the fans back on. I love this content. Thank you for showing it. Glad you like it, Jogging. So that's it. That's the tournament. The footage is here if you want to watch it at some high speed, but I'm not going to upload it. We'll probably have a new GNK soon. The tournament was great. We had 14 players, a lot of variety too, largely some really cool stuff going on. So it's pretty great. But that's it for us for tonight, 11:43. Again, we have it open somewhere. Ocarina tournament is this weekend. If you want to sign up, it seems wild. I might be commentating it on Sunday, so we'll let you know soon. I got to talk to Sanjay. Hopefully that'll be cool. I think going back to games like in this better way of learning to play and learning a mistake, that's a really big thing. Like I don't want to unemphasize how many mistakes we made. That was really sloppy gameplay on our part. There was so many forks. Like some of it was even just cards we didn't understand the abilities on. So like that's a good learning experience. Like I'm glad that happened so it doesn't happen at regionals or nationals or something where I am particularly like trying to gain as any edges as I can. So like I'm glad to do that. And I'm glad to show you like, look, fucking up is important. It wasn't meant to swear. Goofing up is important. Goofing up publicly, I think, is way more important. More often than not, we just publish the celebrations of things that we do well, and the more you learn more from goofing it, I think. I think a lot more that was just the narrative of how miserable I was, but like, I think that shouldn't be understated. Very excited you might be streaming. Yeah, me too. I only jumped in one of the GNK coverage. Did you play today as well? Today we played one game. And then we did a lot of talking. So there's one game where we played the deck list of the week. No, it's a cool deck. Well, that game wasn't particularly exciting, unfortunately. Thanks for streaming, of course. You should stream some Monster Train sometime. Yo, I kind of want to. I just don't want to do it here because it's a Netrunner channel. It's weird. Deck of the week, yeah. Thank you, Baza. All right, good time tonight. Glad you enjoyed it, Chancellor. So hey, follow about this. Also, there is the Iberian lockdown, or it's just called Lockdown 5. It's on Saturday if you want to get in on that as well. Always be running. We'll find you the information. These have been running very successfully over the last month, so do check that out if you want to get some organized play. This is better time zones, I think, for people living across the Atlantic, so do check that out. Metropole Railway. I need to check out Monster Train. Again, I can't say this enough. Check out Monster Train. If you like Slay the Spire, you need to try this game. It's dope. It is so good. I'm so into it. Anywho, if you were to pick a lockdown ID, which would you do? Am I competitive or am I having fun? Which can be the same thing, but like, I should rephrase that. Is it competitive or am I trying to do something wild? It's a good question. Let's do that. It shouldn't take us long. If I'm competitive, I would think I would probably play Class Act. Seems really good. Or the Artist. But then you still have to play a Shaper deck with Economy. I don't know how that works. If I'm doing something weird, Nihilist. Maybe Page Piper. Probably not. If I was playing Corp, the Corp is way more interesting just because there's obviously way more choices. Thank you. We got it. HB. Probably play Advanced Concept Opera. In Jinteki, I think there's a lot of very reasonable choices. I think Flower Sermon is probably the most consistently good in a lot of formats. NBN is wild. I think NBN has a lot of things. I think Puppet Master is a legitimate option. I think Better Citizens Program is annoying. ARES actually could be probably very good. And I don't know how tech people are going to be against tags, even though I probably should be. I think that's large. Oh, you can play Adblitz and rebranding teams, so check that shit out. In Wayland, I think there's a lot of good stuff. I think Divested Trust is probably fine. High Risk Investment seems incredibly strong with C-Source. I think you need to run tech for that, or you're going to be in a really bad spot. APOC Begot? Well, let's talk about that. If you want to play an APOC deck, what do you play? Do you play Begot? No, you probably actually play Page Piper. Oh, right. No, because you can't APOC your Begot. Yeah, no, that's cool. Begot could have easily been a Jinteki, an NBN, or probably a criminal identity because it says HQ, but whatever. Puppet Master is the jankiest, but I want to make it work with False Flag. You probably just do Biotic, Red Planet Courier's Beal, huh? Wait, Lockdown's the one with points? Exactly, Rush. Lockdown is the one with points assigned to IDs. Something decently competitive but fun to build. I think there's some probably really interesting things with Theophilus Bagbiter. If you do Theophilus Bagbiter plus Game Day, you can probably do some really wild stuff. This is actually like really interesting in terms of a format. Just to like go down a bit of the rabbit hole. Theophilus Bagbiter says that your hand size is equal to your credits. So as long as you can get some mad credits really early, which is really important, you can play Peace in Our Time to start. Then you can play cards like Game Day, and then that's probably 2 words. Game Day says you drop to your hand size, so for 2 clicks you can, in theory, draw your whole deck, and then from there you can start doing some really cool stuff like Sovereignius Implants, or the HQ pressure card. Like, I don't know if you have influence for this, but Sovereignius is crazy. You could access a lot on R&D. With the current, it'd probably win in like 3-4 turns if you're like really, really lucky. Because then, like, if you draw your whole deck, you can do crazy combo stuff, right? Like, you can do DDoS, Sovereignius Stim Implants, throw at whole hand. Like, you can do some crazy stuff. You play the current first. Another option is you could play Fear the Masses, which I think there's a couple of formats you could play this. You start with no money or 5? You start with no money? Piss off, really? That makes it a lot worse. No, you start with 5. Everyone starts with 5. No, you definitely start with 5. Why would you start with no money? Limil, what's up? I wasn't expecting you to be live. Hey, I finally gotten some friends to start playing Netrunner with me on Tabletop Simulator. How is it on Tabletop? Do you actually have, is there like a good mod that has everything? I never tried it. What's it look like over there? Pat and I might be doing some Tabletop Netrunner sometime in the near future. There's some cool content we're working on. I gotta answer some emails tonight. Oh, Bagpiper starts with no money. Wait, no, why? Oh, it's because that's what the card says. No, it doesn't. Oh, it does, doesn't it? It does say that. Okay, the deck got a bit harder, my friends. Yeah, Bagpiper says lose all your credits, right? Oh, man, that part's important. Ah, jeez. But do you install it? Yeah, you probably install it. Yeah, because I'm assuming Class Hacked works the way you think it does. Oh, that sucks. Bagbaiter Caddy Game Day, yeah, that's what people did in normal criminal decks, but the fact that you start with 0 is an issue. I guess you have to first turn click 4, and then next turn you do Peace. So it just basically lowers you a turn, and you have to mulligan really aggressively for Peace in Our Time. I think if you don't play Peace in Our Time, what are you doing? 3 Armitage, 3 Peace? I don't even know if Armitage is fast enough. I would do Peace and Game Day, right? Like, you just do Peace or Game Day turn 2, that's good enough, and then you just do game. Look, it's actually really simple. Right? Like turn 1, click 4. Turn 2, Peace or Game Day. If you do Peace, you do Peace or, I've been saying Game Day the whole time. I meant to say Peace or Day Job. Then you draw with Game Day, which won't draw your whole deck, but you draw enough to get your next Day Job or Peace, and then you do Peace, Game Day, and basically in 2 or 3 turns, you're basically mathematically probably guaranteed to draw your whole deck by like 2-3 turns, 3-4 turns. Exclusive party with Bagbetter? No, it's probably bad. Well, not true. It's probably bad if you have infinite money and you don't ever spend money, because it's hard to get cards out of hand. Easy Marks? Just play Gamble. But you're right, Easy Marks is better than the opening hand. But I think you just do 4 credits. Like, your first turn is a bummer unless you can Easy Mark out of it, or Dirty Laundry, which I don't think you need Dirty Laundry in a combo deck. And then from there, you just do Day Job, and then next turn Game Day. Like, you'll be fine. I've been teaching 2 new people to play, and the only guy who got me to Netrunner in the first place started playing with me again. We've been playing a couple games every day or 2. Oh, that's really nice. Can you import decks? I have so many questions, Vanilla. Liberator is the best if you're on Game Day, though. Anywho, I'm really excited to see this on Sunday. Hopefully we'll be involved, but that's all for tonight. We've been streaming. It's pretty late. It's 11:51. Sorry we don't have GMK content. Hopefully that was good enough content to watch. Are you still playing a drafter? Yeah, I should have been. Fuck, I need to do that. Said I wouldn't swear. We've made a lot of promises that are hard to keep. Yeah, we probably need to do that. Let's try and get that done. It's the mod that I've been using, has all the cards though, Uprising, and has NRDB imported. Ooh, okay, so I've no doubt that's easy to find. And it got tokens for everything you could ever want in the mod. Okay, awesome. I arrived too late. Sarah, how's it going? Yeah, just a bit too late. Well, actually like 3 hours too late. But welcome, glad you can make it at least. It was an interesting stream. It was actually a pretty interesting stream. It's not like a lot of the other ones. Okay, that's it. That's all. I'm losing my voice a bit. Hopefully we'll see you on Sunday. Hopefully with the Ocarina thing, do check that out. Otherwise, if not, I guess we'll stream on Sunday anyways at the same time. No, that's kind of shitty. We'll figure it out. Thanks to everyone hanging out in chat. Thanks to the one person we played a game against tonight. Thanks to everyone watching the VOD. I hope you're all doing safe and keeping nice, safe and sound with how the things are going. Hopefully you're having a good time. Get involved in some tournaments. Don't look at my situation and be like, oh, tournaments are bad. No, they're not. I had a miserable evening because I'm miserable. It's a separate issue. And that's largely it. Take care of yourself, huh? Ciao.